propaganda live.
I only suggest how to think and how to vote.
Extraordinary cultural moment, already iconic. We love you, you're welcome here. Where did this guy come from? And it's like he's been doing it for ages, he's very confident. Plainly, and this is a matter now of fact and record, I'm right wing. I feel that Christ may have had a better vision. Is this misinformation or is Vivek Ramaswamy in the lavatory? That's a sort of like a poem. Is this Eminem? Man, if we can come together in that stream. I'm assuming it was just the P. Now, these are the kind of conversations I think that the legacy media can no longer compete with. Win.
This is On Brand, a podcast where we discuss the ideas and antics of one Russell Brand. I'm Al Worth, and each week I go through an episode of Brand's show with my co-host, Lauren B.
It's me, Lauren B, and I'm the host that has no idea what we'll be getting in today, but it's usually bad.
It's almost invariably bad, which is why we we usually do the good thing before the bad thing, but this week, I have something of a confession to make to our audience. See, there's been something of a missing piece of Russell's content that I haven't quite explained fully until now. Back in October of 2023, not terribly long after the allegations against Russell came out, Alex Jones came on his show. And we said we'd get to it, and for various reasons, time kind of got away from us, and we never actually did get to it. And since that interview, Russell has been talking about Alex on average twice a week, usually expounding on Alex's various predictions, or pointing out how right he is, and how dangerous he is, and that nefarious actors are trying to take him down. And then, as part of Florida Week, Russell went on InfoWars, mostly to tell everyone how innocent he is and that the legacy media, CIA, and British government are trying to take him down, which we've covered that plenty of times. And Alex also returns to Stay Free with Russell Brand. So this week, we are in fact going to cover Alex Jones coming on Stay Free. Now, there is another podcast that covers Alex Jones, but unfortunately, they're not here right now, but it's not like they're the only ones who can cover Alex Jones. It's not like we're encroaching on their territory or anything, so we'll just have to charge ahead without them. Now, up top, I would like to point out what just happened. What?
Oh my God, it's Knowledge Fight!
Too sweet.
Where are we? There we are. That's right, Knowledge Fighter here.
Is this a recorded video? Because
The production values here are unbelievable.
does everybody get a video package? What just happened there?
Where did you get my personal information, and why was my social security number on there?
Yeah. Mother's maiden name, date of birth, it's all there.
Found the music video that I was in back in college.
El Rancho, let's go. Yes,
Let's
I
go.
did.
Shout out to Daniel Shar.
Yeah, that was an experience. Welcome, Dan, and welcome back, Jordan. Thank you so much for coming on. Wouldn't have it any other way in having to deal with Alex, to be honest.
It's a thrill. I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but Russell Brand weirds me out, so this will be interesting.
That's not an unreasonable position. I think that's a fairly common position, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
All right, we're very happy to have you here. I know a bunch of our listeners aren't aware of you guys, but you're the podcast that covers Alex Jones, which is pretty important to what we're covering today. So let's just get into our first clip, I think. There we go.
Oh, this is the first clip?
It's gonna be Dan headbanging.
Dan.
So my
Dan
friend
headbanging
Daniel
is-
Shaw really liked a local Mexican restaurant back in Colombia. He made a music video about them.
Yeah. This is the Dan Friesen. This is your life. No. What we'll actually be looking at is Russell's introduction of Alex. So Alex hasn't come on yet. It's just a little introduction, but it does raise a couple of points that probably need addressing up top.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. It's another Friday, same old tiny hat. We've got an amazing show today because Alex Jones is on. You might think, well, I've seen enough of Alex Jones. What else is there I could possibly know about Alex Jones? But what does Alex Jones tell you about our culture? What does he tell you about news media? What does he tell you about censorship? What does he tell you about perjury, litigation, lawfare, the necessity for sensitivity when speaking in an ad hoc fashion about extremely contentious and difficult subjects, the necessity sometimes for mea culpas, contrition, compunction, Christianity, so many C words, baby. Alex Jones will be with us in a few minutes. If you're watching us on YouTube, remember we're only there for the first few minutes precisely because of the issue of censorship. Remember, this is the world's most dangerous man, the establishment's most hated person, the single most censored man in history, the first media figure to be erased in one day, deplatformed before it was a common term, and not just deplatformed, sued, attacked, and criminally charged. What did he do that was so wrong? Obviously, he said things that were pretty appalling, particularly if you're a parent. What were they appalling? He said that Sandy Hook didn't happen. That's what he said. And the Sandy Hook families were obviously upset about that. But do you think what drives these legal cases is the transgressive things that he said and how that hurts people's feelings? Or do you think that it's possible he has views that deeply rattle the people who run America? Is Alex Jones crazy? Is Alex Jones fundamentally right about a lot of things? Is he both? Why do they really want to shut him down? One thing I'll remind you of is that he predicted 9/11. That's the thing that I struggle to get by. Imagine, almost anybody that prior to 9/11 said, there's this guy, Osama bin Laden, you've not heard of him yet, but the CIA are going to blame him for attacks on the World Trade Center. And then that happened. Jesus.
Jesus, indeed.
Jordan.
Bin Laden was like an underground rapper no one had heard of, and Alex broke him in the mainstream. What? He'd already bombed the World Trade Center, you asshole.
Yeah, so
Jordan, your response is so
Jordan,
correct.
Welcome. Yeah.
I just
validating.
so many goddamn words. That paragraphs aren't meant to be that fast.
Yeah, when we first started doing this show, to actually understand him, I would have to do 30-second clips and just have 5 of them just to understand the question. Thankfully, I've gotten past that now, but yeah, the bamboozling feeling is correct. So for those of us.
He just has a tone I don't want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that. Mm-hmm. I emotionally definitely felt exactly the same as Jordan's yelling and Lauren pulling up a hammer. It was nah.
That's my emotional support hammer, by the way.
That's the
usually it
emotional
doesn't
Very
come out
necessary.
It happened to be kind of behind me because this is all my working on things, and I was like, well, sometimes we just need to have a buddy.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That
you
is
need
a
the hammer up
visual.
top.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's your plush.
It very
Yes.
it's my squishmallow. Yeah. It's my comfort animal. But yeah, that's it's that way at least most of the time, if that's any relief to y'all.
Cool.
Yeah, if it helps, he's always like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes worse.
Yeah. I think gish gallops make us uncomfortable, and I think that's the appropriate response because that's all he does.
That's correct. And also
it's not even it stopped being words. It stopped being words.
Yeah.
And it started being a series of sounds, and that makes me angry.
Yeah.
But the sounds had such a dense layer of irony that he wasn't being understood. He was being ironic but doesn't know he is. And the layer of that is so a fondant that's just on top of these words that he's saying.
Yep.
It's just it's baffling.
It's the fondant makes it too rich. It's too much to take down. No, I completely agree. So for those of our listeners who don't know Alex Jones that well, there is a meme among the alt-right that Alex Jones was right, and this 9/11 claim is one of the most tend to hang their hats on. So, Dan, Jordan, did Alex predict 9/11?
Kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, yeah, in the sense that he predicts stuff all the time that doesn't end up happening, and sometimes he's like before the economic downturn in like 2008, 2009, for years and years he'd said it was right around the corner. Do you give him credit for calling that? Nah,
right?
Not really. There's an edited video of Alex from the summer of 2001 that makes it look like he appeared like he precisely predicted 9/11, like bin Laden's going to send the towers, the planes are going to be used and all this. And that's what they use. That's what they hang their hat on of the prediction. And that's not fair.
I think what's fascinating about it is very similar to like the explanation why and how it works is so in 1987, whenever there was that stock market crash, right? And then they didn't do anything about it. That day, you could have been like, I predict the stock market shall crash, and you will be right, you know? Yeah. So, like, whenever bin Laden attacked the World Trade Center
in 93
and nobody got him, you could have been like, I predict bin Laden is what was he going to take the month off? Like, no, he's still coming for that building.
And he kept saying he was going to.
He said many times that he was going to do it again, and he did it again. I think that there's a degree of like, well, yeah, most people could have really predicted that there was at least going to be an attempt, and there's also a degree of like the guy just throws spaghetti at the wall constantly. To just
bin Laden or Alex.
Alex, more so than bin
Not
Laden,
anymore.
in terms of predictions.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Past president, I don't know.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
I think that it's something that, like, if you entirely deny it and take away from the fact that, like, no, there is video of Alex, vaguely referencing stuff in a way, like, if you do that, I think that's not dealing with the issue honestly. But I think the way that someone like Russell is doing this is the much worse version. Like, it's all in service of just trying to be like, yeah, you know what? Everyone thought it was crazy when he did this prophecy back then. So now listen to what he's saying. It's probably going to come true. And that's not fair. That's some bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, if you're just guessing everything all the time, that's not how we take a test in school. You can't just fill in all the Scantron and then, oh my God, I was so right. That's not really.
If you get one right, you pass.
Forever. all of the rest of your exams, you get a pass for the rest of your life.
All the wrong answers, because he also predicts insane things all the time that have.
We're
not
supposed to
come
have
true
Ebola right now.
Right?
Actually, that's an interesting question. They changed math, right? Like, I've heard that from parents now, where they changed math. They were like, we were doing math all wrong all those years ago. Would I still be able to pass one of those tests?
Maybe. Did you back
do you
that?
have to do it the new math way to get the new math answer?
I don't know. That was always a problem for me. Like, I would always end up with the right answer, but then when you made me do long division and stuff like that, I would get marks taken off for, like, you didn't show your work right.
Yeah,
maybe. That was a problem 20 years ago for me, though.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I got there should be fine enough. I got there.
I'm going to go with that because I don't like the alternative particularly.
Yes.
I'm not going to volunteer for that program. That's just me.
I was still correct. Screw you. Yeah, that's reasonable. So let's get to the first main question from Russell. And naturally, the first thing we tackle is the subject of InfoWars shutting down.
Alex Jones, thanks for joining us.
Russell, it's great to be here with you at such a critical time. Alex Jones, it's actually happening. InfoWars is being shut down. The FBI appear to be involved. The CIA appear to be involved. Can you tell us, do you see this as a pivotal moment? If they can come for you and take you down, if they can reclaim your assets, does that mean that this is the first domino, that next it's Tucker, then it's Rogan, that this is, in a sense, the beginning of a series of attacks that will shut down the free speech space?
Well, that's right. What they're doing to me is a beta test for everybody else. And I'm just blessed they're doing it because it shows we've been on the right side of history, on the right target. But if I told you all what happened, I mean, the FBI went in court, admitted they're running it. They have the CIA guy that got caught by Project Veritas spinoff group admitting it all. That's all well known now. But what are we saying they're so scared of? We love God. We love humanity. We love freedom. We love justice. So yes, our message is scaring the system. So they're trying to shut us down right now. And as bad as this is, I am extremely blessed to be in this position right now. So yeah, I'm more concerned about why is the deep state trying to shut me down right now? Is it a Trump assassination? Is it World War III? Is it economic collapse? I don't know. But definitely big stuff's coming because they're so desperate to shut us down right now. It's a long story, but 2 weeks ago, they tried to, without a court order, with the CRO and the bankruptcy gets into law, shut us down without a court order. Now there's a court hearing tomorrow. They may shut us down tomorrow. But there is a desperation to shut us off because they don't want us on air when we cover what is about to happen. So I don't think about me, which I'm fine. I love talking about me, but I'm not dumb. This isn't about me. Something big is about to happen. Why are they so desperate to get me off air?
So, Alex Jones says the deep state is desperate to get him off air because big things are happening, possibly a Trump assassination or World War III, and that's why InfoWars is being shut down. Now, so far as I'm aware, the court has a different opinion of what's happening and what is going to be an orderly shutdown, so far as I've read. In a nutshell, for those not in the know, what did Alex do and why is InfoWars being shut down and sold?
Is this a
pop quiz?
Genuine, yeah.
Are we on the Scantron
pop
again?
quiz. Pop quiz.
I choose C.
I choose A, B, D, and C. I'm definitely right.
So I mean, it's all very. It's the only thing I'll agree with Alex on is it is a long story. But the long and short of it is that he made material claims and defamatory statements about family members in Sandy Hook. He acted in ways that led to harassment of these families. To some of the examples of which are fundraising for Wolfgang Halbig while he was harassing the families, sending Dan Badandi, one of his reporters, to Newtown to cover it, and it just led to a lot of bad shit. So these families sued him, and then he didn't cooperate with the lawsuit against him, got a default judgment, and then tried to evade paying off some of these things after he was sentenced to pay a bunch of money. He tried to get away from it by going to bankruptcy courts, and this interview is happening the day before his hearing, where it was pretty clear that they were going to kick him out of the case out of bankruptcy court, and so that would make him vulnerable to these plaintiffs suing him in state courts and make him like a lot more vulnerable. So that's where he's at.
Yeah. It sounds like he fucked around and found out. That's pretty much where I've landed.
I mean, you can't really
that's more
go
succinct
on
version.
You can't really go on a British dude show though and talk about how your state bankruptcy court issues are going. You have to like, it's everybody. It's a deep state thing. You can't be like, I fucked up.
It's more exciting.
Yeah,
it's definitely more exciting. I guess that is the next question. Are the FBI and the CIA involved in taking him down?
No, I have a question for you.
That was much, Jordan. You get right to the heart of the matter, and I appreciate that.
Done.
So I'm looking at Russell Brand's background, and he's got is that a mixture of the American flag and the British thing.
It
Jack?
is, yeah. This is the special background that he's got while he was in Florida. They put him in what looks like a tiny little cupboard, to be honest. And he's got that and like a couple of things next to his side. He was visiting Rumble headquarters in Miami, and this was his setup for the week.
What I find so strange about this world is that I've been to a lot of different countries now, and it's very exciting. And I never feel patriotic except when dealing with Britain, because like we didn't get King George. Like I'm still carrying that around with me a lot. So like it feels like Alex should also be angry to see that perversion of our flag.
Well, he talks about how his enemies are the Anglo-American establishment.
Totally.
What is that flag if not Anglo-American,
It's the
British-American?
king.
Merger.
Yeah. Fuck the king. That should be the first thing he says.
Now it's interesting, Jordan, that you take note of this background, because what I see is a man who is annoyed that he has to talk to Alex.
Yeah, that is a face on him, isn't it?
I get a strong feeling from Russell Brand of like, I'm better than this.
This is literally what we were talking about before y'all showed up to record. This is great.
Yeah.
I feel so validated with other witnesses in the room.
How he was gonna feel. It does develop as we go, I will say.
It is his
that.
face, though. It's a little bit his face. I'm not going to say it's. I would make a different excuse for another kind of person, like it's the Botox, not necessarily an attitude. So he does appear that way when I think sometimes he's also just checking out as well.
Oh, but yeah, for a little bit of resting bitch face. He does have a little bit of that. That is a Russell problem.
I wrote a bookie wook, and now I'm fucking sitting here with this asshole lying about slandering grieving parents. Ugh.
I think he's upset. He's like, I'm not talking right now, and that's all I want to do.
That is infuriating.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if this just evolved into and then back
Don't
and
spoil
forth.
The show. Don't spoil the show for us.
That sounds. I'm losing the ability to understand their words very quickly. So it's gonna sound like that to me pretty soon, anyways.
I feel seen.
To your question though about like if the FBI and CIA are involved, like if I were Alex and I sincerely believed that, I would be going so hard on it. Yeah. I would be like, because proving this and like really holding on to and learning more about this connection would be so validating for all of this shit. You know, like it would go so far in terms of like making his image better. It would go so far in terms of like making him not look like a big old liar all the time. And instead, he just points to a couple of vague data points in a Project Veritas video, and he's like, that's good enough. I find that to be an admission that he doesn't actually believe that the FBI and CIA are behind this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Seems reasonable. And Russell, at least, you know, when he's claiming that the CIA and MI5 are out to get him, he at least tries to provide, you know, some kind of concrete evidence, and he won't shut up about it. You know, he gets the gig. Whether he believes it or not, that's I hope he doesn't, because he knows what he did. He knows what he did. But yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Is he in Florida because he's not allowed back? Is he not allowed back in your country? Is that a thing?
A lot of people there were trying to like court him into moving there, and he was like, well, I don't know if Florida's gonna be enough, you know, extradition and all of that. And you're like, oh, okay. All right.
Florida has no extradition law.
I was gonna say,
Just
with
Florida,
DeSantis
though.
in there, I would be surprised if you could get him out of Florida.
I mean, he's had Ron DeSantis on the show, so you know they're at least a little bit buddy. But yeah, no, I think he's still got his eyes set on Bali. I think for his little cult that he wants to set up. But he has been talking less about that lately. But yeah, there was a plan to set up a cult in Bali.
Good. Talk less about it.
Plan.
Those are Bali
mentioned
thoughts.
it. Yeah. No.
mentioned it several times across a few weeks. Yeah, he was really going into it, polling the audience. They were really going for it. But yeah, I'm hoping that plan returns at some point. But we'll see what happens legally. I think that's going to define what the course of action is for Russell.
No, he took a workcation, but is actually doing work on the vacation, unlike Alex. He's not just going to Hawaii and reporting back from like a hot tub conversation. He's actually doing it. So
Well, because Russell has a real boss, right? I mean, like he works for Rumble, basically.
kind of, yeah. I'd say kind of.
He's a brand ambassador or something.
Yeah,
That's
a contract for
fair,
sure.
Yeah, and he interviewed the Rumble's main guy, Chris Pavlovsky, as well, and that was a fucking snooze. I'm going to be honest.
I can't believe that. Chris Pavlovsky isn't a dynamic interview.
I mean, he tried to be. It was 45 minutes of look how great Rumble is, which is exactly what you expect from that scenario. Now, the first 20 minutes or so of Alex and Russell's interview amounts to Alex going, "Wow, they're shutting me down. Wow, I'm so dangerous. Wow, I didn't kill any children at Sandy Hook." Because, to use his own vernacular, he is a big titty baby. So we're going to move ahead to Russell asking a question about the Ukraine war.
I feel that this escalating tension between Western NATO forces and Russia is reaching a critical point. Do you, Alex, are we going to see some sort of shift? Are we going to be in a hot war with Russia anytime soon?
I want to be clear, Russell, I'm not a Russophile. I've never been to Russia, but I've studied it. The West, over 10 years ago, overthrew Ukraine, started the war, moved missiles up to their border. We put missiles in 61, Nike missiles in Turkey aimed at Russia. They put missiles in Cuba. That was the Cuban Missile Crisis. So this is way beyond the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the West is starting a war with Russia as their political pretext to try to divert from all the things they've done domestically. So yes, I think we're in the greatest danger we've ever been in, a full thermonuclear war with the Russians. They've got missile cruisers off Florida. They've got nuclear submarines that they're showing us. They're already there. They're showing them to us to try to get the American people to not be part of this.
He choked on his own bullshit.
This is a very insane, dangerous moment right now. And it's so surreal, Russell, that I have trouble even decoding it. I mean, it's just a year and a half ago, Biden said we can't send F-16s and tanks to Ukraine. That's World War III. Well, now it's not just tanks and F-16s, it's nuclear weapons at their border and heavy cruise missiles. So this is so biblically dangerous and insane that Americans think Americans are great people, but we have the lowest number of passports for an industrialized country. The average American thinks we're the only thing on the planet. They don't get Russia's 6,000 miles away, 5,000 miles away, depending on the border. And Russia has the biggest nuclear arsenal. And we're at war with Russia. We are at war with Russia right now. And if the average American knew the danger they were in, already 80% are against the money to Ukraine, all the rest of this. But if they realized the incredible danger they were in, they would back off, but they're not backing off. So that to me is why this is so otherworldly, like a hallucination. It's just crazy.
Now, Alex said there that he's not a Russophile, but like Russell, he does appear to want to withdraw all support to Ukraine, thereby allowing Putin to just take over a sovereign country. He's been on RT, right? He's been on like Russian state media and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely more like in the past. There was a period of time where he wasn't on, but he has been fairly not too long ago.
I mean, I would say in a sense he's not at all a Russophile, because he wouldn't like imagine if Russia was like, hey, gay people are fine now. You know, he would be against Russia. So he's more of just a piece of shit.
That sounds reasonable to me. And what are his feelings on Putin, the strong man?
He's a big boy. Mm-hmm. He's a big, strong boy, and he's cool.
Boy.
He loves Christianity. He's fighting the globalists. Mm-hmm. He's big and strong. And I basically just write a AI essay about that picture of Putin shirtless on a horse. And that's what Alex thinks about him.
Yeah, that's a great description.
Yeah,
take that home with you.
Yeah, very strong, very noble.
Oh dear. Yep. That sounds about
Everybody
right.
looks better on a horse, though. There is that.
There's such an interesting difficulty that Alex has that I just don't understand how you resolve, and that is that like he's like China is evil and China sucks and fuck Jinping and all this, but doesn't deal with the fact that like Putin and China are closely allied.
Big allies, yeah.
That
And now
seems to
North
be a
Korea.
big difficulty.
Well, when you can, I mean, reality seems to be the challenge usually. In my estimation, it's like if you want to deal with the reality of it, it feels like he had to go back to 61, which I think is impressive when talking about the Ukraine conflict right now. Like that's, I mean, I think to a degree, and I think you've talked about on y'all's show a little bit that like satanic panic kind of never stopped. And I feel that like maybe also the Cold War kind of never stopped for a group of people, or maybe several groups, I don't know, but it feels like we're going to keep that going because it seems to be an excellent marketing strategy for extremism.
Or maybe these are all just one of many pieces in what is the ultimate battle between good and evil.
That's
it's the
probably
same
right.
fight
Yeah,
that's been going
no,
on
you're
since
right.
the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Since
Mine was
God created man,
Demons.
and then
Yeah.
Satan was like, I don't like that, or whatever the legend is.
What you don't understand is that W. Cleon Skousen was possessed by the devil in order to write his anti-communist books.
That sounds correct. That sounds correct.
All right, that's fun.
Don't check the math either.
Yeah.
They won't.
I only use God's math, my man.
I agree with you though. I mean,
Use
the
the
Cold
old way
War,
of doing it.
the Cold War never ending, I think, is right on. It's just the dynamics are really weird now, and Alex is against the United States, so
Right.
everything's flipped strangely.
In principle, yeah. Oh dear. Now next, Russell gets to the question of whether the masses would rise up against lockdowns, etc., in the event of another pandemic, and Alex takes things a little bit left field.
Do you think that we do, as is commonly said, we all live in siloed spaces, and there are the people that watch InfoWars and have been watching it for a long time, or the people that watch the other type of media that we're keyed into, and all of those people are like, uh-oh, another pandemic, no, you ain't getting away with that again. Or do you think that there are still a significant number of people, in fact, a critical number of people that will continue to be obedient? We're not at a point, are we, where you're going to have the military siding with the people against the government in a country like yours?
I agree. The majority of people in a crisis will still side with the system, but here's the big secret. From my intel, depending on what technology it is, the establishment is 20 to 100 years ahead. 20 to 100 years ahead. They've got cancer cures. They've got cloning. You might not be the same person, but they can tell you are, and you'll have some of the same attributes. So they've already got godlike power. So the establishment is very arrogant right now that has life extension, and it's got all these incredible technologies, and they're like, we can't give 8 billion people this. So they made the decision with their bunkers, with their operations, that we can survive a nuclear war, and they made the decision to carry this out. But if we're aware of the transhumanist operation, if we're aware of their arrogant operation, and if we're aware when their own, because the computers don't run things yet, robots aren't in control, they're planning that. They're still humans in the decision-making process. So when Yuval Noah Harari says the future's not human by 2045 and all this, they mean that. But we still, as humans, the only animal that does this, control our own environment. So we can withdraw from globalist systems that are funding our own destruction and try to build a future system. But the decision's been made. If we're just utilitarian, why have 8 billion people? Why have 9 billion? The decision has been made to get rid of us. We have to say we're sovereign spiritual beings. We have sovereignty. We exist and we have a right to live. But you've then got to have a plan. You can't just say, I'm going to play Xbox and eat Hot Pockets all day.
Well, there goes my plan. Though we don't actually have Hot Pockets over here, so I'll need to figure that one out.
Take that.
Yeah, that's something to feel patriotic about, Jordan. You have Hot Pockets. So according to Alex, the globalists are 20 to 100 years ahead, technologically speaking, which seems like too big a gap. Like, the difference there, like, that's flip phones to present day, or the invention of the first traffic signal to present day in 1924. Like, feels a little bit too broad, you know?
Yeah. I've noticed a phenomenon with Alex where whenever there's a number, it's made up. Like, it's just kind of what he's feeling, and I love that. I mean, it's a manipulative trick, and people should see through it, but it is so fun, especially when there's ranges of numbers. It's all just riffing. It's great.
If you took like one of those hospital like faces things where it's like, how much pain are you in? That is also exactly the amount of something, like 70% is how good we're doing. Yeah. That's a smile. We're at 70%, right? Oh, we're 25%. That's a big frown. It has nothing to do with reality. It's just a frowny face.
Whatever.
Jordan, I think you named it. It was God math. He's doing God math. He's doing God or vibes. Pick your poison. Yeah. He's doing vibes math.
Speaking of made-up numbers, I'm not sure if I cut the clip or not, but he does keep telling Russell that he has 20 to 30 million listeners a day.
Conservatively.
Conservatively, yes.
Sure.
But he's not bragging. He's not bragging.
Not brag. No, he'd never brag. Anyway, the globalists have cancer cures and cloning, life extension, and are intending to kill 90% of us, apparently. Is there a concrete reason as to why they're going to kill all of us? I've never been. I don't remember being clear on that one.
Stuff.
Yeah.
There's not enough stuff for all of us.
The devil.
There's some stuff, but there's not enough. Mm-hmm. So in order to have all the stuff, they got to get rid of us. Makes sense.
That's when we need to be a little more materialistic about it. Whenever you're talking to somebody who maybe doesn't buy into spiritual nonsense, maybe that's what you say. Mm-hmm. But when you really get down to it, when you want to give the big enchilada, the devil told them to.
Yeah.
Because the devil needs to terraform the earth in order to make it hospitable to silicon-based life forms that are the demons that live in the fourth dimension that they're trying to conjure into this world. And that's what the globalists are really about. That's why they need to kill you off by tricking you into thinking that climate change is happening, but we really need to burn more fossil fuels. So listen, I got to go because the bar is going to close pretty soon. They stopped selling whiskey at 10:30.
Yeah, I gave you a correct answer. He gave you the most correct answer.
That's kind of at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it really is. And what's crazier about it is that I think it was like a thing that was fake at one point, but now it is real. Now it is truly what he believes, and I don't know if he can escape it. I think even he is like, I don't actually believe this sometimes, but actually I do. I do believe it. I believe it.
He's slippery. Like, people don't hold him responsible for stuff like, it was months ago, there was supposed to be an Ebola outbreak in Denver, and like no one gives a shit. No one holds him responsible for it. Like, you all in the UK were supposed to have Daleks that were going around and giving COVID swabs to people, and if you refused, there was a hatch with a gun that was going to come out.
Pointing at yes,
No one holds him responsible for any of that stuff. So, like, I don't know, 5 years from now, you could be like, it wasn't really the devil, or whatever. You can just move on, maybe, and no one will care, which will be hilarious.
Oh, where are my Daleks, Alex? Like, I want to live in that reality. Oh dear. There is also a fun little fact buried in this clip. Alex mentioned historian Yuval Noah Harari saying to the World Economic Forum in 2018 that the future of humanity is, within AI, etc., and how different and how dangerous potentially that's going to be, etc. And I'm assuming, because he's pretty literal-minded, Alex is taking this literally and thinking humanity is going to be replaced by robots. It's also no great surprise to me that Alex doesn't particularly like an Israeli-born gay atheist who speaks at the WEF and is Klaus Schwab's right-hand man, according to some. But in 2018, Russell actually interviewed Yuval Noah Harari for a Penguin event with some schools in the UK.
Before things broke real far to the side.
Yeah, 2018.
When Yuval Noah Harari was like maybe an interesting public intellectual that Russell Brand would want to talk to, as opposed to, I've made my bed, I'm just talking to weirdos now.
Yes, exactly.
Funny where they found
Exactly.
themselves, right? It's an interesting turn.
Yeah. But back then, anyway, Russell was entirely on board with everything that Yuval Noah Harari was saying. Was just like they got on like a house on fire. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw him on Stay Free at some point, to be honest.
You think he still would be in the realm of someone who Russell could get away with talking to?
Maybe, because they've got that prior connection as well. I think it's possible. And you know, like Russell loves the scary AI conversations, so there's an inroad there. Whether he would because of the WEF connotations, I don't know.
I think no. I think Russell's audience would eat him alive.
Yeah, he would
forever.
get murdered. He would
Unless
that
he
would be
murdered
one of
Harari.
the greatest. Yeah, exactly. That would be one of the greatest betrayals anyone could possibly make to his audience at this point right now. He's the big bad.
Yeah, he's the intellectual thinker of the big bad, who's Klaus Schwab.
You can't, like, Luke can't sit down and be like, okay, we're just going to have a talk with the Emperor today. Like, no, that can't happen.
Yeah.
Well,
Luke
Russell
has
doesn't talk about him that much, so you know, I think his audience would almost be more aware than he would in a way.
Which usually works to his favor. I feel like
Yeah.
Russell kind of only acknowledges his audience and then he can like pretend he cares, but then like make fun of them individually and what they say. Like they're mostly just like a kind of we don't cover that much of his like his local channel and stuff on the show compared to his main show. But from what I've seen, he like appears complimentary, but just takes pot shots at his audience all the time. And I think maybe when they react poorly, he'll be like he can just tell everybody to calm down and then dismiss them and be a little rude, and that works out fine. I don't think that he is affected in the same way that Alex is.
That is a very different dynamic. But I guess Alex probably couldn't get away with floating a Bali cult. So, you know, they have different relationships with their audiences.
Well, Russell was actually a movie star. That's a person that doesn't need to give a single shit about what anyone thinks. Whereas
That's true.
Alex has been in this like kind of crowdsourcing space for a long time. And I think that's also why Russell can just have like, while Alex was talking, and I'm kind of used to this by now, but just, I could just see Russell having his spirit leaving his body and just not giving a shit about anything.
I was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This guy pretends he was supposed to be Star-Lord. We are not the same. This is fucking different.
Yeah, you know, that is a thing, you know. You can be that makes me think about what we need to do after our show. I think we should start a Bali cult. Yeah. We've been in the Midwest for too long. It's cold. You prefer islands. I prefer islands.
It's true.
Climate change is going to kill all of us anyways. Might as well get there first.
All
I
right.
like it. I think it's the way to go.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Done.
I'll bring the cat.
I didn't expect being sold on the Bali cult idea today, but
Yeah.
learn something
Where
new
else are
today.
you going to go?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. You know what? We've got an election coming up here, and Nigel Farage is doing very well. So you know what? Bali's looking good. That's all I'm gonna say.
Didn't Farage get into the gin game? I thought he left politics for gin.
Oh, he's started selling back,
he's-
baby!
He started selling gin, and everyone
He
got
started
mad at
selling
him.
gin, and he became a broadcaster on GB News. You know, which is
Gin-based news.
Gin-based news. yeah. Except now he's back in frontline politics, and
Still clear, guys. Still clear.
still clear, still botanical. We've got it. He's his party in some places in the UK are polling just as well as the Conservatives, which is so in some places better, which is worrying. Nationally, they're polling just as and so like we're gonna have this weird scenario. Labour are gonna landslide the whole thing, and then there's gonna be like a Reform party that's about as big as the Conservatives with Nigel Farage at the head potentially, and I'm like, this is alarming.
We've been kind of I've been keeping tabs on it more than I think I ever have. I have a reason to, which is kind of fun. And so there's a lot of rhyming with 2016 that I'm noticing.
Yeah.
A nice little pit in my stomach.
I'm
when I
all
hear
for
about
it. I'm all for it, and I hope all of you
There's a
tear each
Farage
other apart.
mirage.
Because the worse you guys get, the more likely Northern Ireland is to be like, fuck off, we're finally free. So I'm very invested in Irish freedom and British collapse. I'm fine with that. Y'all fucked us in 1880, and I'm done. You fucked America in 1770. You fucked Ireland in 1880. I want all y'all to sink.
Hey, I'm in Wales. We got fucked before Scotland and before Ireland.
That's fair. That's fair. That is fair.
And I'm all for Welsh independence as well. But you are right. Like the potential for the whole thing to just cascade and everyone to be like, nope, fuck this, I'm out. You know, it's a possibility.
I think it's finally time. It's finally time for the British to become people who just hate the English. And the English can go away.
I mean, if you look at kind of like it comes out a lot in rugby, but generally the Scots and the Irish and the Welsh will band together in hatred of the English pretty uniformly.
I'm saying I don't think it's the worst plan.
yeah, it's true. That's true. Oh dear. Though there is a problem that a bunch of people in my country of Wales do quite like Nigel Farage and are voting for reform, and there's a possibility that I am going to have a reform MP in my constituency, which not pleased at all. So that kind of makes things tricky. Still. Right, let's move on, and we'll get to the subject of Alex and indeed Russell potentially being controlled opposition.
How do you interface with conversations that are within the ordinary political paradigm when truly, surely, it must, truly, based on what you've just said, real power is out of sight? Real power is concealed. Real power does not allow us to discuss it. And if you can just ditch into that somehow, Alex, the ongoing accusation that not only you might be controlled opposition or I'm controlled opposition, that even a figure like Elon Musk, due to his various billion-dollar contracts through SpaceX or Tesla or whatever it is, can't truly be the renegade that many of us believe him to be. How do you map that? How do you map the fact that people do have relationships within the system? Why did they make the decision not to wipe out Joe Rogan? Was he just too valuable to Spotify? So there's a few things in there, and I know you can talk, man. So I'm talking about concealed power. What is who's operating, who's pulling the strings of this concealed power? Can we trust Musk? Why didn't they destroy Rogan?
No, that's the best question ever. I can't wait. I know this is on your show, but I'm definitely going to air this. Is okay on my show, Russell. Look, the biggest problem we have is not believing we're powerful. So there's evil, there's controllers, there's bad groups. But someone watching and listening knows who they are. They want freedom. They want liberty. They love people. They love art. They love culture. They love this. Well, you know you're not controlled. So move past, is Russell Brand good, or is David Icke good, or is Elon Musk good, or is Joe Rogan good, or is any of these people good, and say,
transcend.
Let's move past that excuse. What are you going to do? Because I know I see through a rose-colored darkly, as the Bible says. I have distortions. I'm not perfect, but I love my wife. I love my children. I love everything. I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I'll fight if I have to. So the idea that nobody's real is really a extension of failure and saying to yourself, no one else is good. It's hopelessness. The truth is most people are overall good. They're not perfect, but if they have leadership, they're good. So the idea that, Alex Jones and Russell Brand are fakes, you just said to yourself, you're not real. So my response I've been only here 30 years. I stopped responding a decade ago to people that say I'm this or that. What I've done is on record.
I mean, that's true. He is on record. And did Alex stop responding to his critics? Because look, my memory is legendarily poor, but yeah, I seem to recall a few entire 3-hour broadcasts responding to people giving him shit on Twitter.
Yeah, he's very thick-skinned now. That's definitely true. I mean, maybe he doesn't respond to as much. I think he played around with stuff about people saying he was like Bill Hicks and shit in the past. So
Yes,
maybe he stopped
yeah.
doing that. And I guess there's less controlled opposition conversations than there used to. That used to be a pretty big accusation that got levied at Alex, but I think it's less now.
I mean, it feels like these guys have destroyed the idea of controlled opposition because they're obviously totally off the rails. Why is that even a thing anymore? Like, I just don't even...
Yeah.
You know?
You guys are fucking with people. That's what you're doing. You're not controlled opposition. You are playing a game. And that's different. It's not at the behest of power. It's like, yes, Elon Musk can sort of be a little bit of a renegade, but he's also a shithead. And he's playing up those renegade aspects in order to get the things that he wants from you, his target audience. That's the same thing that Alex and Russell do. It's not controlled opposition. It's not renegade. It's not anything. It's scammy. You're scamming.
Yeah, it's jingling keys so you don't get mad that I'm billions of dollars. Like that's it's just pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's not
my brand is that I'm not this. I'm not a controlled opposition.
Yes. Yeah. There is an important thing to note at the start of this clip. Alex wants to air this interview on his show, which I'm going to assume would break any sort of kind of exclusivity situation they had going on with the two interviews. Like, that's generally the idea, isn't it? That, you know, one will be over here, one will be over there, and we'll kind of cross-pollinate with our audiences. That's supposed to be the idea with these. But it comes back up in just a little bit. But first, because he's so thick-skinned, Alex is not yet finished responding to his critics.
Stop using the excuse of Russell Brand's not for real, Elon Musk isn't for real. I mean, take Elon Musk. And it's not about kissing his ass because I'm on X. He's devastating them every day with hundreds of millions of views, with transgenderism and open borders and world government and carbon taxes and depopulation and replacement migration. And you can't argue with energy to energy. It's a mathematical equation. He's literally devastating them. Devastating them. And I'm supposed to sit back and go, I'm a Pharisee to Christ. You know what? You're not perfect. You're going to hell. I'm literally supposed to sit back and watch devastation of the enemy. Like they are shitting their pants and go, I could have done it better. Great. Get on the field. Show us what you'll do. Stop complaining that Russell Brand's bad or Alex Jones because we're honest about who we are. You know, like, oh, Alex Jones has been with hundreds of women. Russell Brand, thousands. I don't trust them. Then Saul of Tarsus is hit by a lightning bolt and you say, well, I don't want to listen to him. He was bad. No, God comes to the people that have been in those positions because they know the groundwork. And so I don't want any excuses. Let's say Russell Brand, Alex Jones, Donald Trump are the devil. Let's say Tucker Carlson's as bad as it gets. Great. Stop bitching. Show me what you can do instead of claiming everything is controlled. Because I see Russell was where I was at 20 years ago, a good, open person trying to lovingly help people who's broken out of his cocoon, is a powerful spirit. And people are like, oh, you're not real. We don't get it. Russell, I would even respond to those people. Let's see what they can do because we are literally trying to stop World War III. We're literally trying to stop election fraud. We're trying to turn our energy back on, which the left is literally turning off agriculture, fertilizer, energy, water. I mean, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to keep your water on, folks. I've got kids. I know what this is going to look like in a road warrior scenario. These globalists are a satanic death cult. So if you don't join us, you're with the devil. In fact, I'll give them what they want to hear. You say, I'm with the devil? No. Those of you saying there is no hope, those of you saying Christ isn't real, those of you saying God didn't call us to victory, those of you saying that we've given a spirit of overcoming and victory, not of weakness. When the enemy comes like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord lifts up a standard against it. You are the Satanists. I love Jesus Christ. I want human victory throughout the stars. And any of you saying that I serve Satan are servants of Satan, and I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ.
Alex Jones, everyone. Alex Jones doing pure Alex Jones.
Alex Jones doing his shtick.
Yep, exactly that.
I would be mad if I heard that.
Yeah.
That was not a thing you should say to another human being's face.
Yeah.
Look at you parody of your fucking self.
Yeah, this
Go
is
drink.
what we wanted.
Yeah.
This is what we wanted.
Give us
the
fast
dance.
food, you ugly fuck. Jesus Christ.
Yuck. Yuck,
Cram
yuck,
it
yuck.
down your gullet.
I mean, so we were talking about the exclusive deal potentially with Rumble, and I wrote down, as soon as you said that before the clip, Alex would cut a commercial in the middle of this interview and take that clip. I'm positive. And instead, he did that he does that kind of ramping up, trying to do a viral moment. That so it's not a
he
commercial.
essentially he essentially said, I'll give them what they want before cutting like a Christ themed wrestling promo. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Which is
I'm saying my prediction. It's not a commercial.
No. You'll
It's
get at least
content.
half credit for that.
See,
It's
here's
content.
another thing,
I'll
Dan.
take a half.
Dan, this is another thing. Look, we both grew up in this religious environment. I could
As
do
did I.
that shit way better. I could be a doomsday preacher in a heartbeat. I lived that shit. You know what I'm saying? You write my stuff. I'll whip people into a frenzy. We'll move to Bali, and then we'll take over all the islands.
Okay. This could work.
Shit.
This could work.
See what I'm saying?
This podcast appearance has had unintended consequences.
This is escalated.
I'm worried that if you can be so successful, you're in forgetting Sarah Marshall and then become this. We've got so little depth to fall, man.
That clip, though, I had two thoughts when I was listening to that clip. First is that Alex's entire career is based on purity tests.
Yeah.
His entire career and political ideology is based on no one is as good as Rand Paul and Ron Paul and all this shit. So this whole you got to take good enough. Go fuck yourself. That is antithetical to everything you believe and everything you've stood for. Second, Alex is saying, what can you do? You think that Russell Brand and Alex Jones aren't any good? What can you do? I'll tell you what I can do compared to Russell Brand, and then just put on a shirt. Because he needs to stop it with this completely unbuttoned chest, wide open shirt thing.
Yeah.
doing a
It's the
show.
reggae
All the way
of shirts for Dan.
It is. It's too relaxed.
Too relaxed. It's too relaxed. Cover up.
You're talking about the devil.
Yeah, and he unbuttons his shirt to his own belly button. Yeah,
Yes. God, stop it.
yeah. You can't dress like
Did we
Boogie
just eat
Nights.
Thanksgiving dinner, or am I talking about the devil? I don't know, but I'm shirtless and rubbing my belly.
Me taking you seriously when you're talking about how the intelligence services of the world want to stop you from talking about the devil, that is a big ask.
They can't even get you to button your shirt.
Yes, when you do that, when you make that big ask with your shirt unbuttoned all the way, I'm tuned out. I'm checked out. It's never going to happen.
You know what? I respect that policy. That is fair. So we're going to take a little diversion because from here, Russell cuts to an ad, which we're going to take a quick look at. Now, we don't get anything on Stay Free quite as fun as Diamond Gusset Jeans, but so far we've run the gamut from gold to antibiotics and ivermectin to various nutraceuticals with extraordinary medical claims, and this one feels both dumb and ill-advised.
We can't bring you this content without our partners like Native Path. But what do they do at Native Path? Have a look. Do you know that ibuprofen is ineffective and dangerous? You probably take it still, don't you? I do from time to time. It's especially dangerous for seniors and probably dogs. Be quiet. It causes blood clots, strokes, kidney failure. Ibuprofen ain't a solution. It's like many big pharma remedies. It actually just masks the true problem, inflammation. It deals with the symptom or masks it, but doesn't get rid of the problem. Researchers suggest adding an Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. Omega-3 fatty acids. You've heard that phrase before. Omega-3 from krill oil. That's what whales eat, baby. And if you ever met an unhealthy whale, maybe Willy or that one on Blackfish that kept killing everyone. But other than that, they're straight. And they eat krill oil, which has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. Go to getnativepath.com/brand to see your special offer for being a Russell Brand listener and community member. Cause krill oil can outperform pharma painkillers without the dangerous side effects. Now, for a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic krill oil for as low as $23. So go to getnativepath.com/brand now to get your special offer for being part of Russell Brand's audience and community. I'm Russell Brand, my audience and community. Click the link below this video, guys, and you can get some of this krill oil. I've been trying the stuff myself, and by God, the joints, the jujitsu, everything's improving. Let's get back to the content.
Good. I wanted something to improve my jujitsu. Okay. Now, variety of big medical claims in that one. And unlike most of Russell's advertised products, this one is available in the UK as well.
That was going to be my question.
Yes. Yeah. Little bit more expensive. It's £30 over here for 30 capsules of 500 milligrams, that is. And yeah, but it is just fish oil pretty much. So like, yeah, they can sell it over here, unlike a bunch of the other things that Russell advertises. So let's tackle the claims in order. So does ibuprofen cause blood clots, strokes, and kidney failure? Well,
it'll kill you.
Technically, yes. Like if taken at a high enough dosage
All right, then
for
you
a long
lose.
enough period of time.
You lost. Here's what you people don't get.
I'm
Here's
buying
what you people
krill.
don't fucking get. And with all your debunking bullshit, fuck off. You lost. You just lost because
I
you
said
started.
yes. There we
You
go.
started
That's
with
it.
"you're correct," so you lose. All right, I've already stopped listening. That's the problem here.
There was the caveat of large enough dose.
Totally.
Yes,
no,
yeah,
but
yeah. Technically,
that's
yes.
fine. You say that all the way at the very end. Unfortunately, you started with technically I am wrong, so you've wasted my time.
Did you know that water can kill you?
Exactly.
Water was
In a
exact
large enough
sun.
dose.
See,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
here's the thing.
Bread.
Did you know water
Eat
can
too
kill
much
you?
bread.
That's a stupid thing to say. But if somebody goes, well, technically, yeah, then you fucking waste my time. Don't start with a clause that debases your following fucking shit.
Except you,
Sorry.
If you wanna really nail it, you call it hydrogen dioxide, and then it sounds real fucking terrifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alex has done that. He's gone and done surveys on the street of asking people if they should ban hydrogen dioxide.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
How dumb.
Well, the thing I'm really interested in always, and that we noticed as a trend that you don't really get with InfoWars, is the amount of ads and brand partnerships that Russell has that you cannot buy in the UK. You can only buy it in America. And I am
that's most of them.
fascinated by that to me is obvious because that's what the numbers are for the advertisers. That's like a concrete
suppose audiences.
fact we
Yeah.
can understand is what they're showing their advertisers as to where his exposure is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yep.
really interesting to me in a way that we're not really going to get with because in America you can just say anything and you bring. I mean, Jordan's right. Them's is American rules
Yeah.
for media of
yeah.
any kind.
Yeah, which is interesting, and it is more interesting that I can get this one over here because that is unusual for these things. But yeah, high enough dosage, long enough period of time, technically ibuprofen can kill you, which is doctors by and large don't prescribe ibuprofen in high doses for long periods for exactly this reason. We're talking years there rather than months or weeks. Is it dangerous for the elderly? Not especially, but the elderly population are more likely to have worn out their kidneys over a lifetime of use, so doctors are generally advised to be mindful of the dosage when prescribing ibuprofen to the elderly population. Is ibuprofen ineffective? No. It's a pretty effective anti-inflammatory painkiller, which is why medical professionals still prescribe it. One thing he did get right here, however, is that ibuprofen is extremely dangerous to dogs. I'll give him that one. That will poison them. Just in case anyone needed to hear that. Human medicine, not the same as dog medicine. Now, onto the fish oil supplements. So firstly, is fish oil a painkiller? No. Definitely not. So that's already a thing ibuprofen can do.
But what about krill? Is
Kills
krill
them.
a fish?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with
It's a
that.
subset of
What
fish.
is pain?
Yeah.
What is
What is-
killing? Killing, pain killing. Aren't
Pain-
we always killing pain when we don't feel it?
Pain is the feeling of weakness leaving the body,
Right. I hadn't considered that.
and weakness comes back into your body if you have fish oil, and so
Right.
therefore it does kill pain.
Ooh.
I don't know.
These,
know what, I'm-
these
I'm
things
getting more on board
these
with the
are
fish oil
undeniable
argument.
truths.
They never said when the pain would be killed. It just said that it would happen. There's a lot of wiggle room here.
True. It's just, you need to. It's years. It's decades. You need to start now. That's how this works. So, secondly, do fish oil supplements and omega-3 fatty acids reduce inflammation? The answer appears to be no. This is still a much-studied field, but in a 2019 study from Kostenbader et al., undertaken at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, 1,500 older Americans were studied over a year-long period as to the effects of both fish oil supplements and vitamin D supplements. And Karen Kostenbader said, quote, vitamin D and marine omega-3 fatty acids are widely consumed supplements advertised to prevent disease and reduce systemic inflation. Their purported health benefits have received enormous attention in the medical and popular presses. However, in this study, neither vitamin D nor fish oil supplements reduced systemic inflammation biomarkers over 1 year. Thus, it is unlikely that these supplements taken widely in the general population have major anti-inflammatory effects. Unquote. So, it appears that fish oil doesn't generally actually reduce inflammation either. So it can't reduce inflammation, doesn't help with pain, which are the two main things that ibuprofen does. So when you come to the final question of should you be taking fish oil supplements instead of ibuprofen, my answer would be no, probably not. Seems like a bad idea, especially at the price of £1 per 500 milligram capsule of the stuff. And I did check, and the regular capsules over here amount to 6 pence per capsule. And the best part of this is that these native path fish oil supplements claim to have a higher proportion of what is called EPA in them than usual, which is one of the two components of fish oil along with DHA. More EPA than usual is supposed to be good for reasons they never explain. Either way, it's supposed to be EPA and DHA doing the work in the body, right? Now, the native path ones contain 80 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined, whereas the cheap 6P capsules contain 150 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined, nearly double. So not only are the native path capsules 17 times the price, it's actually a worse product. Just terrific.
That's how they can afford to pay Russell.
Yeah.
They do a
Yeah, I'm
worse
assuming
job.
It's all marketing. That's entirely their whole thing. It's a worse product for more money. It's great.
It's interesting because Alex sells krill oil too, so he's working Alex's side of the street here a little bit. And then, but I've never heard, or at least I don't remember it being a frequent thing that Alex would say it's a good painkiller. That's a weird. He usually just says like, "This stuff's good. It'll give you the fish burps." You know, like that's
Right.
what he usually says. I've never sold as a like replacement for ibuprofen, or that's weird. That's strange.
Yeah, it's a strange angle for it. Definitely a weird angle. I would have taken less offense had it just been like it's good for you. But
I like
no,
it.
we
I
have
like
to...
it. I like it because it suggests that the native path people were like trying to think outside the box. You know, like who's not gonna come after us if we claim that we can do their shit? And ibuprofen, like nobody even knows if that's real. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Nobody knows.
You've
You
got
just
Don
take it.
Draper in a boardroom and he's pointing to
Totally.
a sign. The ibuprofen people are weak.
Absolutely.
They will
They're
never
weak.
come after
They're
us.
not coming after us. Nobody's
Take 'em
sending a
down.
cease and desist from ibuprofen.
It's their
everywhere.
crusade against big ibuprofen is what's happening.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, I like it. You pick somebody who's not going to fight back. It's smart.
Right. Like whales. Who we
Like
all
whales.
immediately thought of sick, like famously sick whales as soon as he said that. Like we all that pick another. Nope. Don't say that.
When whales were at their height, you know what we did? We used them for candles. So screw whales.
Yeah, drained them for oil, right?
There's a lot of associations you have with whales, like blubber, singing, being in shape isn't one of them.
No.
I've never seen a whale with like a muscly fin.
That'd be a great tattoo.
I mean, I'm
muscular
thinking
whale.
of street sharks, not a whale.
Would
Was there
have
a
been,
killer
yes,
whale?
yeah,
Street
me
sharks?
too.
Oh, street sharks.
Yeah, I went to
should
street
do.
sharks
They
immediately.
should
It was
do.
like, oh, shark.
I remember street
Oh, I
sharks.
missed that show. Oh dear. Anyway, let's get back to Alex. And in case anyone forgot, he'd just finished a little performative rant, and now Russell is going to ask one of his trademark 5 questions in a question.
When did you start doing stuff like that, Alex? When did you start doing that? There must have been a phase where, because I've seen you talk about it elsewhere, where you were turning up at sort of anti-George Bush rallies. Did you always have that? Because that's what that we just witnessed there was. That's Alex Jones. That's the Alex Jones molecule playing out. Have you always had the ability to do that? Did you do that stuff at school? Do you think it's as a result of that football injury? How do you feel when you see the compilations of the kind of like, a frog's gay? And that song, have you seen that, folks? I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. Have you seen that thing? Like, when is it that you realized you had this channeling ability? And do you ever worry that channeling ability, it's vulnerable, it's very alive, it's very beautiful, it's very powerful, but it exposes you to stuff, huh? Have you always done that, mate?
No, it's Russell. You really want to know?
Yeah.
I mean, no. Under the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and to the 90s, everything was human intelligence, and so nothing was digital. Then it was all about how big your human armies were, and so a bunch of my family, people go, oh God, he admits his family's in this. No, they all told me it was bad. When I was a little kid, they did all this stuff and then told me the government was evil. So I learned this from family that was involved, not in like pencil pushing or not involved. That's why they're so scared, because they know about the MO. My family, my whole family was not like the pencil pusher types. And
They were all murderers.
My family told me all this, and they got out of it because they were like fighting Russians in Latin America and East Germany and like all this stuff. And they told me all this. And so that's why I knew all of this stuff and understood it, was because my uncle, and other people too, just told me how the cow ate the cabbage. And so I knew very young, they never pushed me to be on air. They never said, go do a show. I would just listen around the corner to them. I would hear what they were doing, and they were so worried about America. And so I was blessed to be around people that were like the knife's edge of the Pentagon. And so people go, oh God, you said you're a part of them. No, it's the difference. It was like these were real people that were doing insane stuff to fight the Russians and others. And then they figured out, oh my God, this is all evil. So I was really blessed because I was early on around that. And so that's, to go back full circle, like, oh, you work for them. No, my family worked for them and rebelled against them and stood up against them. And so that's why they're so upset. So.
Okay.
So, I mean, Alex has made some pretty wild claims about his family over the years, including his dad being a CIA dentist who was also the smartest boy in Texas. And here he seems to be claiming his family, and specifically his uncle, were part of the DOD and were also fighting Russians in Latin America and East Germany, but then rebelled against the DOD when they realized it was evil, and that is why they're also upset with Alex in modern day, apparently.
Yeah, Buckley's dad.
Does that sound right?
Buckley's dad was in Guatemala and he saw some shit.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sometimes I think like can you imagine the idea of not having a very interesting story about something? So instead of responding with a long thing, you just go, it's been a while, been a ways back. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just say that on TV or whatever.
Or you just
gonna say
the third week of
back.
my 4th grade.
Way back when I was a kid. Next question.
Yeah.
I read some JBS books and I got weird.
Right.
Not as satisfying an answer as this nonsense. So, I broke out a pen and I was trying to track this question.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm guessing, so the last clip that we heard was Alex doing his performance. And so when it started, I thought that that's what Russell was asking him about. Like your ability to flip a switch and turn on and just perform.
You fake lying monkey dancer.
But as it went on, it seemed to more be about like channeling information from the universe is the gift that he was asking about. And so the questions I identified were, when did you start doing this?
Early.
Have you always done it?
Way back.
Yeah.
Is this because of brain damage?
Yes.
How do you feel about memes?
Not great.
And are you too vulnerable because of memes?
Yes, 100%.
Definitely.
It seemed to be like, that's a lot. Also, I like that he threw in is this because you have a head injury?
I do like that. That was really nice of him.
Oh, Russell's extremely shady. Extremely shady.
Yeah.
Like he can be very
He
queenie
loves
at
to
times.
throw
which-
shade.
I hate it when I enjoy it. But I also
Oh,
live for
that's
it.
that's a usage of shade that I shady to me is he's an untrustworthy character, not somebody
he's
who
both
Oh,
throws
I'm
Trustworthy.
going.
shade.
Story
That's fascinating.
Paris
This is
burning.
interesting. This is interesting new
Yeah.
slang that I'm learning.
Shade comes from reading. Yeah. It's a more fun, I feel. But yeah, can you imagine not knowing Alex lore, which I don't think that Russell does. So
No.
Russell's going to go into Russell mode, which is like kind of picking and choosing, and that he manages to like do a sly dig in ways that like
He may not even know that like that is something Alex has talked about, like him having a head injury when he was younger,
probably
and
not.
like being stuck under a fumigated house. And,
that's
like all of this stuff. Like I don't know. It is like in context a really shady line.
yeah, he is
Nice
he is good for that.
usage.
I'm trying.
I
Trying
do
to be
feel
cool with my
like-
slang.
I know
You're
you're
great.
gonna get there. You're gonna get there.
you got the shirt, you got we got blouse, we got before we
Chemise.
started working. Yeah, we got
Sh-
chemise
chemise, yes,
throwing
yeah,
down. Yeah. Oh. Cultural
Yeah,
exchange.
no, Russell definitely skimmed the Wikipedia page here. I think that's what we're feeling the results of, because his research is not great. Though I mean, he's interviewed Alex before. He was on Infowars back in 2013, I think.
Yeah, ways back.
Back when he was on like the whole revolution tip. He was particularly insufferable in that interview, from what I recall. And
As opposed to now. Like
He's great.
I don't know. So, he was more self-righteous somehow. But
In the Bookie
But
Wook
yeah.
era? What?
no, well, this
Self-righteous?
was after the Revolution book in 2013, and with him essentially pretending to be Che Guevara, for however long, which. Honestly, very, very annoying. Which is why, despite a lot of left people in the UK agreeing with him on the broader points, a lot of people still found him very annoying. And so just like, fuck this guy.
If
which
I
is,
was going to pick somebody to be Russell Brand, it would be Jason Segel from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Like that would if somebody, because I'm assuming it's Forgetting Sarah Marshall's fault that we are here.
And get him to the Greek.
and
Do what?
get into the Greek.
Yeah, get him to the Greek. Yeah. So we could have had Jonah Hill or Jason Segel in this role, and that would have been better. They
P.
wouldn't
Diddy
talk
to do
as
it.
fast.
Jonah Hill might be close, right? He sucks. to me.
Does he suck? Who
think so.
knows?
Yeah.
I think they all
Jonah
suck,
Hill.
right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. They're too rich and white. They probably suck. That's
That'll happen.
I think it's a reasonable position to take. Okay, I would also so just a small point of fact. I would also like to point out that from the 50s onwards, like he said that everything's about like the size of the army, but the US military especially been using computers since the late 50s, for military intelligence and that side of things. So, like it wasn't all just humans, and that seems pretty obviously true. But who am I to argue with a man who's read hundreds of history books,
So many books. I can clarify a little bit of what he means because he does this kind of rant a lot. What he means is spying. He's talking about like the shift from human spies to like surveillance.
Going
and
through
stuff.
somebody's trash can versus
Yeah. And so his family was around when you needed humans to do that kind of stuff instead of all the cameras being everywhere on the internet. But I mean, he's still wrong. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's another
okay, so it's-
CIA/FBI thread that if Alex were capable of following and fleshing out, that'd be really interesting.
Mhm.
That'd be that would add to the current lore.
If
But
his
I don't-
uncle was
Feels like
digging around in Latin American trash cans.
That feels like a big if. That's all I'm gonna say to that. Oh dear. Now I mentioned that Alex wanted to rebroadcast this interview on Band.video, and this comes back up, and well, here it is. And for those listening rather than watching, Russell will in a moment hold up a Bible and then a book by Bill Hicks.
That's the truth. And nobody tells me what to do. I just try to tell the truth. But Russell, I love you and I love your show. I know it's your show, but I'm going to air this on my own show tomorrow. You give me permission. How do people find what you're doing?
Don't hijack my actual show during the middle of the show. It's not even the end of it. I'll ask you a question. You can just stop talking.
Fine, I'll
do
go
another
for 2
question.
hours. I don't want to tell you. You want to hear the real stuff?
Yeah.
You want to hear like the
Hit
real
us.
stuff? It's insane. Like it is beyond insane.
Go on.
Like, this is like, oh my god.
We're ready.
I mean,
Let me hold on to this first.
I don't think I should say this stuff on
And
air.
maybe this.
No, I would just say that like, yeah, Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was a great comedian. A lot better looking than me. I'm not Bill Hicks.
change the
Jesus
subject.
Christ.
Go
What's
on,
he,
tell
like
me.
70 years old now?
Hit me the real stuff. Hit us with the real stuff.
Oh, he's so annoying.
Bees are dying.
It's really bad. So,
Watch out for
but
deer.
let's just say my family is against the system.
There's no
About
such thing as bird flu.
1988, they turns against it, and we've been fighting ever since. So we're their own worst nightmare because my family is 100% behind America, and they are fighting for the future of humanity, and that's why they're so freaked out and pissed off because of that. And
Yeah, he's got nothing. He's got nothing. Like,
It's bad. It's bad.
it's really bad. You
He's
want to
got-
hear it? It's really.
I don't know what happened, but he's got some red eyes going now. There has been a little bit of a shift, and Alex is either working up some tears or whiskey's
trying.
coming through him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
These
was
are
waiting for,
notably bloodshot.
there is a little bit of a tonal shift from here on out, I've got to say. Yeah, so what just happened there? You know, Alex wanted to rebroadcast this interview, thereby ensuring his listeners won't bother going to Russell's Rumble to find it. Russell essentially kind of told him to fuck off. But Alex, you know, maintained face, not break kayfabe and everything, so he upped the ante with, "Oh, you want to know the real stuff, Russell?" "Yeah, I want to know the real stuff," and nothing. Just, oh, shit. I did not think this through.
This is something that Jordan brought up recently that I think is a really good point. That is like these dudes just know power struggle. They know the like interpersonal dynamics of trying to like I'm stronger than you in this moment. They're really good at that.
It's so weird. It's so weird because it's something that I don't ever think about. Ever. Like, it's just never occurred to me to be like zeroed in on like, am I the alpha in this scenario right now?
It's like it's literally the opposite of like how nice people want to interact with each other, like just people in the world want to interact with each other. And again, like I was talking about before we started recording, like I was I was postulating that I wonder what the power challenge is going to be with these two people because their styles are very different. And I was really looking forward to see like who was going to break first and who was going to get mad and who was going to get annoyed. And we have it. And I like, there's something a little refreshing about Russell being like, you didn't give me the goods. That wasn't good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
I was in
Dance
forgetting
for
Sarah
me.
Marshall.
Give me the real
Not
stuff.
up status me.
I could get Jason Segel in here in a fucking heartbeat.
I mean, maybe not these days. He would have been able to. Prior
Who
to
was in
2020.
forgetting Sarah Marshall? Was it Kristen Bell?
Yes, Kristen Bell, Jason Segel, Mila Kunis.
What a cast! What a cast!
Jonah Hill was actually in that one as well. Playing a different character. So yeah, what a cast indeed.
Jason Segel works with the Muppets now. He doesn't need any of this. No.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
I don't think he would rush to Russell's rescue these days.
Not at all.
Mercifully, Russell leaps to Alex's rescue now with a question, because he can see him floundering. He's like, I've made my point. I think I'll save you. But Alex then insists on bringing the real stuff to the table, and again, we go a little bit of a left turn.
Well, you're saying that this is historic, Alex. This precedes even you being in the public eye. Because when you were talking about that just then, I was thinking the stuff that you do didn't exist prior to you doing it. There was David Icke, but this is pre-internet stuff. You're right at the advent of the internet. You create this channel and create this movement along with one or two notable others. If it were like hip hop, you're right there at the African Bambaataa moment.
Yeah, nobody told me what to do. None of it was like outside
Alex
groups.
Jones, the Africa Bambaataa of
I just
propaganda.
I grew up hearing this stuff when I was a little kid about we've got the whatever the term was, like we're sending them in to talk to the aliens, and we've got them in drips, and we're communicating with them. We've got I literally sat there when I was like 6 years old. My mom and her friend that ran the Psychedelic Institute in San Francisco for the CIA, and I'm in the back of the Volkswagen driving up to Arkansas, and my mother's sitting there in the front talking about, well, we're trying to communicate with the aliens, and we're mapping the future. We put the astronauts, they called them like astronauts, they had another term. We put them into this thing, and they communicate with them on DMT. So I'm like 6 years old, like sitting in the back of the car listening to this, and that was people my mom knew. And then it was just like, it kind of goes from there. But I mean, this is how real this stuff is, man. Like they were literally taking, remember I was Joe Rogan like 6-7 years ago, and I said,
exactly
they
how
have
real
DMT
this
drips,
stuff is.
and we're doing all this. And like 2 months later, Joe has a guest on, a professor going, we have DMT drips, the first time they said that. So I heard my mom, this lady that ran the operation, in the car talking about it. I'm hearing about all this. And so instead of like taking DMT and like an uncontrolled deal, they're giving him drips into their intravenous to keep him in there for like a day to communicate with these entities. So I was like growing up hearing this kind of stuff, but it's par for the course.
Par for the course indeed.
Which course is it par for?
All of my cousins were married pranksters. They all.
That was interesting.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Are we talking about Operation Midnight Climax? And is Sidney Gottlieb entered the chat? The poisoner in chief? Is that what we're doing?
Is that his mom?
Mom's friend.
Yeah,
my mom's friend was dosing me when I was 6 years old. I'm sorry. Is it? Oh. My mom's friend was dosing me when I was 6, and I started a show right around the dawn of the internet, and surprise, here we are.
What?
Yeah. So Alex's mom's friend ran the Psychedelic Institute in San Francisco for the CIA, and his mom was talking about how they were trying to use DMT to communicate with aliens.
Or demons, possibly demons.
Could be demons.
Yeah, he tends to conflate the two things.
They're the same.
To him, very much. This isn't a new Alex Jones theory. In fact, it seems to be fairly vintage, going back to at least 2011, so far as I can find, possibly earlier. Alex mentioned DMT on one of his Rogan appearances, and the other person Alex is referencing who went on Rogan and spoke about DMT drips, the professor, is the very reputable bullshit artist Graham Hancock. Though context here is important, Hancock was talking about someone he knew wanting to study DMT and keeping volunteers in a study on a DMT drip for those purposes, not to contact alien demons.
And wanting to do that, not we have been doing this since you were a child, Alex Jones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, you were in the back of my car. Yes, exactly.
It's not like they would just admit that.
Right. My eyewitness account from when I was 6 and my mom's friend is the fakest reference to a real thing that I've ever heard.
That's the grade of a lot of Alex's like citations, though. You find that a lot.
Yeah.
Weird family friends and fake lieutenant colonels and shit.
Yeah, yeah, he's the best connected man in America by this point, really.
If you
Yeah.
diagram
Oh,
a lot of his sentences and then like reduce it down, you get most of his stuff is like, my dad could beat up your dad, and my dad's friend knows a guy.
Yep.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Also, I don't know a lot about DMT. But I don't. Does it work like that? Can you just constantly take it and stay in a state of DMT? Like,
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know
so.
if because I know it's it's a psychedelic and all of that and a hallucinogen. But yeah, I don't know whether because like as far as I'm aware, there are chemicals in your brain that will kind of deplete over time. Because
Right.
you're using stuff more than usual. So I don't know whether that's possible.
because DMT is like a pretty quick thing, and then ayahuasca you can take and it lasts a lot longer, like in a
Right,
different
right.
form. So I don't know. I just don't even know if this is pharmacologically feasible. Is what I'm saying.
I don't know. Well, from what Graham Hancock was saying, his friend at the university in Kyoto, I think, was
he's got a friend
wanting
too?
Graham Hancock has a friend who wanted to study it. Yes,
good for him.
yeah, the University
That's
of
nice.
Kyoto. And he was talking about doing that. Having them on there for at least a few hours. But yeah, I don't know. I
Hours
don't
is
know.
weird.
I have friends who've taken DMT. I should probably ask.
Well, I mean, I think
but-
what they're referencing, because also this like friend of a friend is like, oh, I heard this thing and I'm synthesizing a lie, and
Yeah.
I think that what they're basing that on is like DMT sounds more intense than like the acid tests, which were absolutely real and documented, and they kept. I mean, like, so the CIA I know. Oh boy, I'm gonna sound crazy, but it's real. Like the CIA kept. Like we're experimenting on incarcerated people and keeping people like for 77 days, I think was the longest that they were just like dosing like prisoners.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that
I feel
everybody
like-
kind of knew
real.
that now. Isn't that just common
Yeah.
knowledge?
Yeah. Well, I don't know
Kind of,
that
to a degree.
Alex thinks about that. Like he's I think that these guys still think that that's like a secret thing that they can riff on.
Yeah.
And so they can point to something like, well, this happened. So then this DMT thing, like remote viewing moment must have also happened. Because also referencing San Francisco, like there's specific things that happened. Like he's saying vague, like he's having a fun time, like, making kind of a narrative that's based on stuff he heard.
It's kind
About-
of
Yeah,
like
He's inserting himself.
it's a verbal collage.
Yes.
Yes.
A bricolage.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very much inserting himself into that kind of scenario. And the word he was searching for that wasn't astronaut was psychonaut, I believe.
Sure.
I think that's
Yeah.
what he was hunting for.
You know what's ironic though? Like, wasn't Michael Savage actually friends with like all those like Ginsburg and those hippies?
Isn't that? Yeah, that's his lore, right?
But I think he actually
don't know.
was.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I think
Even if he actually was, I still don't personally know.
I think that is an actual piece of Michael Savage's history,
Mm-hmm.
not
Doesn't
Alex's
that make
mom's
As
it more
opposed
friend.
to-
sensational
yeah.
that he turned into what he turned into? Because I listened to him back in the day too, and I don't
Savage.
remember him mentioning that, but also, I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised. There was
Yeah.
a lot of the guys on the Kool-Aid bus. Like Ken Kesey.
yeah.
He aged into being cool, but a ton of those guys aged into being pieces of shit too.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know,
crapshoot.
like
Right.
the 70s disillusioned so many people
Yeah.
because they really thought they were gonna do. So it's gonna be what we're about to go through now. Like we
Oh, good.
all were like, we're so gonna change things, and then the 70s made them all realize that they weren't actually gonna change anything.
The
So
70s
then-
brought about the 80s.
So then
Yeah.
everybody's like, well, let's just get rich and high.
Cocaine.
And then
Yep.
we got Saved by the Bell, and now we're here. That is essentially American history. I've just explained it to you.
Nihilism and apathy is where we're at. Good stuff. Okay. Now, on our show, we've been plagued the last several weeks with, honestly, some big dum-dums. From Naomi Wolf to Dave Rubin to Donald Trump Jr. to Gina Carano, and none of them have provided any meat for me to research, which has been very annoying. And so with Alex coming on, I thought, like, man, I hope he brings a white paper or references some obscure legislation, as he is wont to do, or at least brings a printed out tweet, because I know he loves doing that, for him to just give me something, anything to properly sink my teeth into. And instead, I got this.
The point is, most people go and I'm a firefighter, I'm a police officer, I'm a lawyer, but in the real world, I'm a black op operator, I'm a disinformation operationist, I'm interfacing with the interdimensional elves. I mean, in the real world, the government is like 100% talk to aliens. Like, they got SETI, beam in the sky, and they got ground level stuff, and all they're doing is like, what do the aliens want? And the aliens always say, kill 20 kids in front of us, we'll give you the secret to superconductors.
What a weird
So you
thing
bring
for them
20
to
kids
say.
in, slit their throats, kill them. The aliens go, here's the code to fission fusion. And the aliens go, by the way, have a big war, kill 10 million, we'll give you the future of free energy. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, I've sat there and heard people involved with the government literally talking about interfacing with the elves. So that's what I'm telling you is the aliens are real, folks. It's all real. It's all going. And the elves are like little robots. They're like the custodian first level thing you see. And that's what all the ancient cultures saw about the elves. They're literally like little green aliens. They get, little green hats, little uniforms, whole 9 yards.
Okay. So now I'm thinking something a little bit different. Okay, so now I'm thinking if we're talking to the level 1 custodian folks, we're not talking to like diplomat aliens.
Mm-hmm.
These are people. It's entirely possible we're just like a
talking
fucking
to the
weekend
janitors.
project to these goddamn aliens. Like, they've got other shit to do, and then they're fucking, once a week I show up at the community garden to murder 10 million people. I don't like that. I want the diplomat aliens.
Well, you get the custodians, you get the janitors.
This is bullshit.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
think
like
the
this.
U.S. would have a little more sway. You know what I mean?
It would be bigger, more important.
Yeah.
I feel like listening to that clip, I don't understand what you mean that you didn't have anything to dig into. Like, that's pretty meaty.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of
I wanted
citations,
research.
sources. Yeah.
I got interdimensional robot elves with hats and uniforms. So what?
Little
What
hats.
Interview Alex's mom's friend. It's right there.
I love how
no.
desensitized these people must have gotten in this real scenario, because every time, oh my god, the aliens are asking us to murder 20 kids again every fucking time. Like, do they already bring? Are we like, oh Jesus, we'll just bring 20 kids every time now? How about
20,
that?
20 kids being murdered for fission fusion is strange too.
It's also,
Was there a
I mean, is it worth
negotiation?
it?
Well, I mean, that feels cheap. We still haven't achieved it. We haven't got there yet.
And what is this in response to? Like, what prompted him to say this? Or was it anything? Because that's also an option. There is no
I
prompt.
think he might be a little drunk.
Yeah.
It feels like I didn't want to say it, but it does feel a little bit like that. I couldn't
Yeah,
see any
he's-
cups anywhere, but you never know.
He has a little thing just like under his desk, like a little mini table thing that I think that he sets a cup on pretty regularly.
Yeah. We'll know when you can finally buy that desk, which is
can't
not going to be.
afford that. Can't afford
gonna
that
be soon. Yeah, there's been a lot of debate over that. I think I don't know. We could probably crowdfund it. I think there's going to be an effort. Anyway. Yeah, this was not the research I was hoping for, but I did give it a go. So the whole idea of machine elves seems to go back to Terence McKenna. From his taking high dosages of DMT and claiming to see singing machine elves who spoke to him in a visible language. Terence McKenna said a lot of things, and I do question just how seriously one should take another person's hallucinogenic trip. The human sacrifice part of the machine elves, however, does seem to be a uniquely Alex Jones spin on things, and is apparently, how we achieved nuclear fission reactors, though we've not sacrificed enough kids for a fusion reactor yet. So my brother works in the nuclear field, so I'll let him know. Hey, Rob, we'll kill some kids. We'll get there. Just start.
Is that
Being
what
on
we've
it.
been missing this whole time? Children's blood?
Apparently.
They've been working
blood.
on this question for a long time. And if Alex is saying the price is 20 sacrifices, this just doesn't seem possible. It seems like that's such a low bar for the demon evil globalists that he's fighting. Like it seems comical.
I'm telling you, it's weekend custodian shit. They don't even care.
It's a
They don't
prank.
even really care about these
the
20
janitors
kids. They're just
pranking
doing it.
Yeah, they're
They're just
fucking
going through
with
the
people who
motions
are
at
on
this
drugs.
Yeah,
you can see
according to
this is a problem.
QAnon, this is like 20 kids is a fun weekend for a couple of senators. Like, or Hillary Clinton goes through that in a month.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
that's,
that seems how the scale that they talk about this on. So yeah.
Yeah.
almost
This
mundane.
is
in
what
a way.
happens. This is a problem with people just let drugs be great. If everybody's like, oh, drugs are great. I love doing drugs. Drugs are fun to do. Then nobody's going to be like, oh, I had a vision. We've all done drugs. We all do drugs.
Yeah.
I
Your
had a
vision
friend.
is bullshit.
I had a friend who did ayahuasca, and you hear all these stories of this transcendent stuff, and there's all the flowery language. And one thing I really appreciated was he just said to me, "Is like, yeah, I got real high."
Yeah.
I got high as fuck.
Yes.
That's enough.
Seems about
Drugs
right.
are great. Just
That's
do
wild.
them.
That's great.
It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
need to be magic.
Yeah.
You don't
It
have to
doesn't need
touch
be
God's
magic.
hand.
Just do drugs.
Yeah, roller coasters are acceptable, legal, and celebrated, and you're trying to achieve the same kind of like heightened moment in your brain, right? Like it's just it's kind of normal. And telling me about the trip you had is adjacent to telling me about a dream. Nope.
Yeah, we have
that's
limited
enough.
patience for that.
I don't need to. I mean, unless it might be very interesting for a creative person to have an endeavor but that's separate. You're
And
trying
one-
to make a
again-
creative choice. Don't
And
just
what-
tell me about your fucking dream.
One wonders if Alex, what he's actually saying too, because maybe he is describing his own trip. Like maybe he is just saying, "I did drugs and somebody asked me to kill kids."
Man,
That's a good point.
His own experience, or maybe one of his family members. And that's all that's really being articulated and like projected
His
onto
mom in the
the
back of a
globalists.
Volkswagen when he was 6,
It did just kind of hit me that like my trips are cool, but Alex Jones' trips I would not want to have.
Ooh,
Here's the.
no.
Here,
That'd
I'll
be
give you. I'll
awful.
give you a trick. If you want to tell somebody else about your dream, but you don't want to bore them, you start with, "I had a dream. You were in it, and you were slightly thinner than you are right now." And then you talk, and then every like 2 or 3 sentences just point like you were there,
You looked
looking great, and then you can continue going on. It's how you do it. It works 100% of the time.
We do have
I mean,
we have one trip report from Alex, and you all were in it, and you all look great. But he talked about a giant 100-foot tall grasshopper being that tortures all Christians until they give up their faith. So he has talked about, was that? I think that he said that he was a high when he saw that. I think so, and it's universal.
hope
All
so.
Christians. see it.
Yes.
The
Yes.
giant
Yes.
grasshopper.
Giant
Just
grasshopper.
if the lies weren't constant, it's a challenge. Like he could have. I feel like he judged it a little bit. That seems very coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, I do.
can't believe I
that,
just
that
said
is one
that.
of the things. that is one of the things I do want to believe. Also, it was coherent coming out of Dan's mouth. I don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
coherent it would have been coming out of Alex's mouth. That's
I filter a little.
yeah, a little. Huh? Now, Russell thankfully asks a question about all of this, though in relation to Christianity, while Alex lights a cigarette.
His question isn't,
I've
"Are
heard
you
other
okay?"
people talk about declassified documentation that they've been given access to that shows that from like Roswell onward, there have been relationships between Earth governments and intergalactic entities. I know, again, that you and Ike were some of the first people that popularized these ideas, but I've heard these ideas, before. I exist in a cultural space. As a drug addict when I was 16, I was listening to this kind of stuff. I was listening to you saying some of this kind of stuff. We've had in the last couple of years in the sort of post-pandemic era, limited revelations about government access to extraterrestrial technology. We've had military personnel talking about UFOs. When you talk about beings, though, that's when it comes different. Like, technology is one thing. I think we can handle that. When we talk about beings, it becomes a little more, what do I want to say? Innovating. It's a little more effervescent. It's a little more potent when you hear that.
Nuts.
Because I wonder how you equate that with like demonic forces, your faith as a Christian, and what that means about the trajectory of power. Because even in significant things like you getting shut down and a censorship industrial complex that wants to control the information space pales into insignificance if what we're saying is that the encounters that a person ordinarily describes on high psychedelics of meeting with entities is an objective reality, is a reality that's inaccessible.
Absolutely. The globalists are on super psychedelics getting divine information, they believe, from aliens. And they do that because if our limited sight is limited, we saw everything. We couldn't even live our lives. So you take this stuff, the veil's broken, and the way God works is, and the God's angels will not communicate with you because it violates the code of free will. But the demons will.
Fucking
So
code, man.
you
Man
can
must
dial
have
into
his
this
code.
stuff, but only go downward. And so I think that's the best way to describe it, is that Earth is being demonically influenced to blow ourselves up and destroy ourselves because we've got some larger destiny we're about to do. And that's what I'm trying to say to people is this is real. This is a spiritual battle. Everything's a spiritual battle.
It doesn't sound even remotely real, like at all.
No. Space contracts. I mean, you know, the interdimensional space contract law. That feels right.
I'm looking at this freeze frame of Russell Brand's face, and I might be projecting something, but there's a feeling that he gives me that is like, can I get away with saying you're crazy? Can I get away with like, is my place in the market going to be threatened by me alienating Alex Jones and being clear that I think that this stuff is nuts? Because he's saying insane things on my show.
He has a way of calling Alex crazy pretty regularly, which is describing Alex as shamanic, or a shaman of some kind. And kind of reaching out into the fringes. He's a shaman that rises above things. That's Russell's way of calling him crazy.
Yeah. And we've noticed Russell in previous, like with interacting with other interesting characters, we'll say, and the way that he does kind of like dodge the bullets is one of my favorite phrases. He says, interesting still, albeit apocryphal, like someone clearly saying something fucking wild and fake but commonly understood to be a weird myth. He's like, but saying it is true. He has a way of just kind of like slightly dodging, just a little bit. You're like, oh, you were allowed to. That's very creative. You're allowed to think that.
That's the other kind of shady.
This is
nice.
Yeah.
This is what you get whenever you're like obsessed with power dynamics and how they function, is that they're allowed to do this. Like, it took me a second, but at the end of Russell Brand speaking, I like stopped and I realized that I wanted, like, what I would have done is instead of responding to that, I would have just said censorship industrial complex and then slapped him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever say that to me again. Just don't get out of here, Like, but if you're in the power dynamics, you're like, well, I have to respond to the question that I'm here. Like, nah.
And
I need to put an end to this.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about angels and demons.
Yeah. See, now we can get started.
I've become so desensitized to all of the things that come out of Russell's mouth, and I feel like that's what amazes me in this interview and in the one where Russell went on InfoWars as well is Russell just being pretty much dead behind the eyes. Like, he's not taken aback particularly by anything that Alex says, which fucking scary, because on the InfoWars one, Alex was like, oh yeah, I've beaten people to death, I've done bad things like people do, and Russell just nodded along, and I'm like, that didn't raise a question, and this is very much what we're getting here now.
It's improv. I got a yes and, right?
I think he's also trying to stay above it. I think
Yeah,
Russell's
yes.
trying to pretend that he's above this somehow, and he's not.
All being apocryphal
No,
is
he's
like
not.
being magnanimous. It's like, oh, you can that can be your truth. It doesn't
I
have
don't know.
to be
I mean,
the truth of a show.
I say he spent a lot of time in L.A. and a lot of time in Hollywood. This is not the first time he's heard exactly these same words directly into his face a lot. So he's probably like, oh yeah. Like he just goes into automatic, like the eyes glaze over and he smiles and is like, yeah, let's work together. Yeah.
Fully. Well, so I do have a question because we've talked about, or I guess you guys have talked about on your show, this whole adventure that Alex has had with David Icke, as far as like the ebb and flow of how he feels about David Icke. And Russell has twice called, like basically lumped Alex in with David Icke. And I think
he
that
keeps doing that.
these days, somehow that's like Alex has decided it's fine, but Alex would like come for David Icke hard for years, right?
Yeah, he was the turd in the punch bowl, as
Yes.
Alex put it, because
That's
he
right.
he was the guy who would like give you half of the truth, but then throw aliens in order to invalidate the half of the truth that he gave you. He was like a working for the globalist kind of controlled opposition, ironically.
Yeah, a CIA
How
turd.
far,
Yeah,
how far we've come, and now Alex is all about the aliens. You know.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting how that worked back then because it was like everybody was kind of finding their slot. You know, there was a space open in that early internet, and everybody's trying to like stake out their claim, like the fucking 49ers or whatever. And so, you know, this guy sucks because he's not this and I'm me and here are my boundaries.
Yeah.
And then now everybody's kind of got their space, everybody's established, and you can say alien shit if you fucking want to.
right.
The boundaries are an impediment instead of like building up the place where you begin
Yes.
and the other person stops. But David Icke and Alex are a little bit at odds now because David Icke doesn't like Elon Musk that much.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Yes,
they're falling
it
back
feels-
out a little.
Feels
Yeah.
very strange to be agreeing with David Icke, but he has some very sensible points about Elon Musk.
Right. Well, it's what Naomi Klein's been calling diagonalism instead of like, you know, left, right or whatever. It's the diagonalism is like how all of these people are kind of coalescing and, you know, plugging each other's books and all this kind of stuff. And they seem like disparate kind of personalities, but they're actually serving the same kind of like, they found out how lucrative stochastic terrorism is. And so they're like going to come and get their piece of the pie.
Yeah, they've also found out how lucrative fish oil, gold, and survival buckets are.
I mean,
right,
you know,
yeah.
go back to whenever you had, you know, the Presbyterians and Catholics fighting each other to death, and now
Oh,
they're
boy.
all like, "Hey, listen, there's plenty of money to be be had in America,
And they got to get butts and
plenty of,
seats.
plenty of cash. Come on now, we'll be all
Work
right."
this out.
Yeah.
We got to get more money
Yeah.
in that roof repair fund.
Sure, your God is a direct affront to mine, and technically the Bible says we should be fighting to the death. But you're white, so let's roll.
Yeah, you're white, and we got some money to make. Let's do it. And one final point. There's no way that Russell was watching Alex when he was 16 because they're only a year and a half apart in age. So that definitely did not.
Wow.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Listeners,
Yes.
I don't know which one
don't get the
looks
scope
worse.
of that statement.
I
I think
genuinely
I
don't
think-
know which one looks worse.
Nah, I think if Russell put a shirt on, he'd look pretty good.
His
I think if he's
skin's
in-
clearly better.
I think if he's in his late 40s, he looks pretty good. Like, I resent, honestly, that Alex has also grown into his beard. Like, that really
Yeah.
pisses me
Yeah.
off. That
Yeah.
when he was
I
first
don't know.
having facial hair, he looked like shit. He looked,
It's true.
it's awful. Now, kind of looks right.
I think he
It
developed
still
the
looks like a
mustache
shit
portion.
Wolverine. I don't
used
like
to be
it.
it used to be much more of a neck beard, you know, which was a lot funnier. But yeah, he's gone in with the mustache part. But yeah, only a year and a half younger Russell is compared to
That's shocking.
Blowing. Yeah.
yeah.
That's shocking.
It's pretty
To
crazy.
confront as a reality.
But
That's
I'm only 10 years younger than Alex. And I mean, I know that's
I think-
more than 1.5, but it's still terrifying.
I've actually
I
been
have-
dead for 25 years.
we know.
Yeah,
This
that's
is a
about right.
ghost.
we're all on DMT. That's how we're
You're
talking
talking to a recording that I made because I can see the future.
Yeah,
We've been
yeah,
remote
I have
viewing
been-
this whole time. That's why the audio gets weird. I get it. Okay. All right.
I have actually been thinking about this, and like I think the reason, as well as aesthetics, but I think the real reason it feels so weird is that Alex was, saying "take me seriously" from such a young age. He started like really young with his broadcasting. It was like what, 95 or something? Was it 94?
Yeah.
Something like that, which is like. That's crazy young for anyone to take you seriously. He was like in his 20s, right?
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. So I think that's part of it.
That's a great point to make, though, as far as the power that Russell has that Alex does. Alex is stuck with "take me seriously," whereas like the opposite, Russell's like, "I'm just a goober. Don't take me seriously. I can't even button my top." Like
I'm just a comedian.
it's a total, like he can get away with so much more.
But also, let's go to Bali.
But that's
I'm a goober, but we're going to start
Yeah.
a commune in Bali.
yeah. I'm so fun. Just come. I'm not gonna make you. You just have to like come here and then just give me all your stuff so we can
here
pay
and-
for it. It's
There
fun.
will be
Do all the work
rules.
for
There
me.
will be rules for sure.
Well, there'll
right.
be rules for you. There won't be for me, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I like a good conversation that begins with, "Hey, let's do Scientology right this time."
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we can learn from our mistakes. We can really nail the next religion we make up.
Yeah. So far, Russell's is definitely going to be pretty Christian adjacent at the very least.
Yeah, it's not that creative or exciting. Really.
No. Though he did once believe that he was like literally the second coming of Christ. I think very early on. I think
Aesthetically, that's very obvious. That he thinks
Oh
that.
yeah. Well, yeah. The reason he's got 33 tattooed on him is because that's the age supposedly Jesus was when he died, and Russell was certain that he was going to die at the same age. Because.
I've heard of the 27 Club.
I mean,
I haven't
cool
heard of the
people,
33 Club.
cool
That's a little
people
nuts.
It's
died.
exclusive. It's very
Yeah.
exclusive.
Like, when did Jimi Hendrix die?
That's the
Didn't-
27 Club.
That's the
Yeah,
that's the
27,
one.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
okay, so he wasn't doing the cool one. He was doing the
No.
shitty Jesus one.
He's
Gotcha.
doing the shitty Jesus
A
one.
much more
Yeah.
alarming one. That's not.
I would
okay.
rather I would rather be in the cool club with Janis Joplin and shit.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah, right.
fun.
Yeah.
When you're still tight, still
Well,
firm.
what's fun about that though is that it earned him a bunch of shit from conspiracy theorists because 33 is like a big deal within the Masons. That's the highest level of Mason is a 33rd degree, and so everyone still accuses him of being a Mason every now and then.
These are the risks you take when you court this audience. This is
it.
the kind of thing that happens.
I don't think he cares. Like
Probably not.
powerfully, there's like power and how much he does not give a shit.
About
About his
he's
audience?
Just happy people are.
At
He's happy people
all.
are talking about him. It's stroking the ego. Oh, people are mentioning me. Good. That's all I want.
Do they show up and pay their? Does the money come out of their bank account every month? We're good to go.
That's it.
That's genuinely
Done.
like he's because he can be really shady to his.
Oh yeah.
To
Well,
his
do you
listeners
remember,
too.
Lauren?
Like, I really don't think he gives a shit.
He did a meditation with one of his listeners once.
Oh, I'll
Caleb.
never forget. I'll never forget as long as I live.
Spent a full 10 minutes giving him shit during a meditation. It was
Just so mean. He's a fucking Australian teenager.
If that's all he
That's
was
pretty
doing,
funny.
that might
That's
be
pretty
pretty
funny.
funny. Yeah,
Oh, it was
Yeah, that's
hilarious.
it might be an interesting art project.
Yeah.
Of
Give
like
him his
performance
head
art.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just roasted this kid.
just fucking burned
But
him
like
alive.
all
Poor kid.
underhanded compliments. Like it's oh my
Yeah.
god, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
like this
you're
kid
the
paid
one
for
listening to
it.
Russell Brand. This is on you. Yeah, apparently,
Yeah,
sooner or later you have to
absolutely
take
that. Absolutely
responsibility
that.
for your own actions.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think
Yeah.
I have this experience a lot with this show, and I'm sure you guys some was like my empathy will get activated with my cynicism in tandem. It's like it's like don't just if you're just sell roasts on Cameo and just be honest
Yeah.
about it. Don't say
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna help this this like early 20s like kid
supposed to be
reach
helping him with his
enlightenment."
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had to shut off some of that
Delightful.
over time. Because it just gets exhausting and repetitive. Like caring and feeling that side of it too much. But I don't know if I could have if Alex was doing guided meditations with his audience. That's such a different variety of thing.
Call it a
For
bitchy
Alex
roast.
to do one?
Call it what it is. I'm here for it. It's just that it was this like weird like opportunity to insult, which he also takes as opportunities to like call his like, but he's also very careful about it, and he uses the same kind of flowery language, so he can get away with it. I guess that he just will really be insulting.
British people who talk fast get away with a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
No
and
kidding.
again, this is like the 1987 stock market crash. You know, you say there and you're like, nobody did anything about it. It's gonna happen again until people start beating up the British. It's just gonna keep happening.
Slow down. Stop talking so fast, Brits. Tell them to address this.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I apologize on behalf of my country.
There will be speech required speeds. There will be a maximum speech speed in Bali when we get there.
Absolutely, yeah. 120 beats per minute. That's the maximum you can do.
Yeah.
Now I do want to explain specifically, like, because we've been talking about shade. Shade comes from reading. Very specific. It's like drag queen Dorian Corey explained, kind of took it upon herself to explain in this documentary that's fabulous and everyone should watch, about like the ballroom scene right in New York. And it was like late 80s, early 90s. And she says shade comes from reading. And reading is like, I don't have to tell you you're ugly because you already know that you're ugly. And that's shade. Like, so it's that kind of backhanded, like you're not really saying it. You're implying it, which I do think that any speed of
very
speaking
British,
British,
to be honest.
yeah, it is very British. In that, like,
we're masters of that's Downton Abbey in a nutshell. It's
it's
giving
passive
people
aggression. It's I think it's the caste system that you had historically created a lot of this. We're gonna deal with British history right here.
Normally, see, I'm telling you, it brings it out in Dan, too. There's no patriotism between the two of us until we get to Britain.
I mean,
not as far as
not,
you, though.
I'm
that's
not
what I've
going to
had to let
argue.
go of doing the show. I got to turn that down.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. Class warfare is the main warfare that Britain has waged for the entire time, and I say this as a person at the bottom of it. So yeah, I'm with you. Now I don't want to talk too quickly, right? So Russell now asks,
no.
Is that too fast? Too slow?
They're not applying the Bali rules. No.
Okay, it's just in Bali. Okay, good.
I gotta show up next week.
We have no jurisdiction here.
Okay, good. Now, Russell asks how all of this relates to things in the real world. So, remind you, we're back on, DMT, alien, demons, right? They're all demons. The globalists are all on DMT all the time, talking to the demons, right? So, how this relates to things in the real world, or almost the real world.
Why are you saying a thing about the 20 kids being killed, Alex? When we're talking about human trafficking and child trafficking and these various sort of odd sexualized occultist movements in places of high power, how significant is the Epstein stuff for that? And why would extraterrestrials want 20 kids killed? Was it called adrenochrome? What is this stuff, mate? Why is that part of this?
Adrenochrome's kind of a lexicon to understand it, but here's the deal. If you will hurt your future, if you will kill your children, then they know that you'll do whatever they say. And when you kill children, your own children particularly, or a dog you love like the Nazis made SS officers do, you lower the spiritual defense shield of life. So they need you to do human sacrifice, particularly at children, because then they can send a transmission. So God puts up a defense shield of people that are pro-God, pro-family, pro-life, pro-human. But if you will go against children, you lower the defense shield so they can send the transmission in. So it's all very scientific. We think of it, the Satanists just want to kill kids. They don't care about the kids. If they can get us to kill our children and get us to hurt ourselves, then interdimensionally, we've gone against our own code. The defense shield unloads and collapses, and now the transmission can be sent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
What?
Yeah, no,
it does.
It's very scientific. Yeah. I find this is something that's really difficult to sort of put into words. But like Jordan, your response is like, what? And like yelling and stuff. And mine is just kind of quietly nodding and periodically being like, yep. Mm-hmm,
Yep.
Correct.
Nailed
But
it.
it feels the
That's
same.
what I thought
It
you were
feel-
going to say.
There's a divide.
But it
There's a
feels,
divide.
I feel like I'm yelling.
No, it's the same. Yeah.
But it's being expressed through nodding and like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Force fields. Star Wars technology.
that's the-
missile defense.
The Midwestern yell is the nod.
The thing about
We're from the same place. All three of us are from the same
all
place.
of this stuff, is like, what is this God doing on his off time? Like, what these custodian elves, what are they doing on their off time? Because if their on time is like, okay, so I'm raising the shield, obviously it's like 10:30. That's when I always raise the shield. Oh shit, this guy killed his own kid. Gotta lower the shield. Like, I was watching the game. Like, what was he doing?
Probably playing Fortnite.
Right?
I don't know.
It's like, it sucks. I've got to be on call
PUBG.
tonight,
Yeah.
Got to be on call in case someone wants to lower the shield after killing some kids. Yeah.
Right? He's constantly raising and lowering the shield.
Yep.
And monitoring the child sacrifice. I mean,
monitoring the
if it's
figures. Yeah.
right.
Okay, so how about this?
Gotta
Can
be on call all
we-
the time. These modern
Okay,
day.
imagine we overloaded God. So we get everybody on a loop. Everybody's taking shifts, killing their own kids, right? God's God's so busy raising and lowering this shield, right? Now we've got a chance. So I don't know what we're gonna do. What do we do when God's not looking? I'm gonna need ideas from you guys now.
What if we did the most pious things possible when God wasn't looking?
Ooh, now you're throwing it under his. Now you're trying to take God's spot.
God isn't
Show him up.
No.
You're trying to show up God.
God is entirely distracted, but all you do is read the Bible and pray.
So then he goes back.
You
and
get
looks
no
at the
credit for
tape.
it.
Oh shit! I was reviewing your performance logs, and surprisingly, human race, you were crushing it while they were murdering all those kids.
Right?
The
Does he have
rest
to
of you were just
reconcile
doing
at the end of
great.
the month? Is that what he's like?
There's a legend.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course.
It all
you've
depends
not
on
hit
when you
your
turn in your
quota.
timesheet.
There we go. Yeah.
Here's what I'm struggling with about this clip, because this is stupid. But okay, so the demons need you to kill these kids in order to lower the well, first of all, they know that it's a test, so they know that you'll do whatever they tell them you do, which implies that there's something else that they want you to do later, which I don't know what that is, and Alex isn't saying. Second, it's to lower the shield, but the shield exists because of God-fearing good people like Alex existing in society.
Do the aliens know God?
What is the next point? What is the end game of this? What's the second move?
A bigger shield.
Once the shield is lowered, the transmission can get in, but what does the
Right,
transmission want anybody to do?
Well, I think that was kill all the kids and kill all the people. I think this circles back to the
It's
globalists wanting to
terraforming the
kill
Earth.
everyone.
It's
Well-
terraforming the Earth so the silicon beings can come and live on Earth.
There's
That's
no way that it's like, just as a person, it doesn't matter if it's aliens or not. If you're sending a transmission that requires you to kill 20 kids, and then the message you get back is kill 20,000 kids, you're going to be like, fuck these guys. No. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit message.
no,
That's
Like,
they
is it
give
above my
you a-
pay grade or?
They give you a reward
you have
first.
To, you have
they'll
to, yeah, that's
give
what I'm
you
saying.
fusion.
You got to reel them in. You got to reel them in with something.
Yeah.
You can't be just
Yeah,
tossing
yeah.
back, kill more people. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's shitty management, honestly. You're really not giving people the tools that they need. Yeah.
I did enjoy in that clip that Alex dodged the adrenochrome question. It was like,
It's just
I'm not going
Alexicon.
down that road.
It's a lexicon. You understand this?
We've been down that road
I
before, and I
enjoyed-
got in trouble.
How sloppy he's getting. He's getting real rough around the edges, we'll say.
There's a
There's
vibe that is growing.
Yeah.
I
It's a
will
little
say
weird to
he's,
talk about adrenochrome at all. Don't they already? He's already claimed that people drink blood like straight. Like,
totally.
why would you refine it?
No, and he's said that people try and terrorize children to make adrenochrome because they need it in order to commune with these demons. He's said that stuff before on air.
Yeah. It's
He
just
says
easier.
QAnon shit all the time.
Yeah,
right?
just no one holds anybody responsible for these swings of the past.
Yeah. It's weird how Russell will work QAnon stuff in because it's very tangential. Like it's not very specific. He doesn't even know the word adrenochrome. I don't know if that was affected or not, but it's enough to where he gets a whisper of a QAnon thing that made it into, like a pastel QAnon meme.
It felt a little affected to me.
Right.
But I'm not sure.
yeah. Like he always claims he can't pronounce hydroxychloroquine either.
I want to buy that for a second.
Yeah, despite having sold it on his show. It's like, nah. I was going to say, I think
if they advertised, he can say it. That's a fucking fact, Jack. He knows.
In terms of Alex's performance, one thing I have taken note of is in this interview compared to the last one, he's much better at pronouncing his V's. For a while, everything was a B sound instead, which confused the hell out of me. And I wasn't sure. Yeah, double. That evil is my favorite. Whereas
I've paid a lot of attention to that, and one of the things that I'm fascinated by is that it is not consistent. Like, it over years, sometimes it's a B, sometimes it's a V. It's just whatever's going to come out is going to come out. It's random.
At the end of the day, he's just expelling air.
I've driven myself crazy trying to find
is there a pattern?
Why is he pronouncing the V correctly? What is there some surrounding context? I can't come up with anything.
In his office, there's the notebooks from Seven that has every time he's used
seven?
a V or a B.
Seven.
It's still spelled with the number
the show.
7.
That's as good as it gets. We're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, right?
We just did some live shows, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great time tonight. We're gonna get out of here.
Be sure to get your krill oil.
I do enjoy it. Though I didn't cut the clip, but he does at one point accidentally call Russell Bland, which I did appreciate.
Oh, what a flow.
Get his ass.
Drag her.
But then he just said something real boring and was whining about how everyone's out to get him. So I was like, it's not worth it. But yeah, Russell Bland. Now Russell Bland takes all of this in a biblical direction because, of course, he does.
What you're saying is that we all have a general and personal feeling of what love is, but that has a frequency, that has a qualitative and almost a quantitative component. If you had instruments delicate enough to observe it on an essential level, you'd be able to see that love is an entity, that love is a field, that love is a shield. And by getting you to transgress against that, they create opportunities for a relationship that wouldn't be present otherwise. That makes me think about, the Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac. It makes me think about the Christ is sacrificed as part of a new covenant between God and his people. What do you think about that? The significance of what you're saying there in this milieu about power and the frequency of love and those two biblical sacrifices right there.
That's right, Russell. So at the beginning of the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, God says, sacrifice your child. And when God's disciple is ready to do it, God says, here's the ram. I've given you a replacement. And so God says, this ends now. Stop doing him as... Judaism has all these criticisms, and it's got its own problems. It's so powerful. I think powerful is going to have the enemy swarming around it. But God said, stop killing your children. And it was the Jews in the Middle East where everybody's killing their kids to idols because it's so powerful. God, it's powerful to take your baby you love, you have with your woman, and throw it on a big metal plate and boil your child. And it pops and explodes and everything. God is saying, don't do that. So God says with Abraham, and the angel grabs his hand. God wanted to see you do it. And literally the beginning of Abrahamic religion, all the three major faiths was, will you kill your kid? And God says, you did it, but I stopped you. Now never do it again. And then you go through the Old Testament, New Testament. Now we don't need sacrifice anymore. It's all about stop doing that. And so that's what's so powerful about this understanding is that
I'm sorry?
these entities want us to kill our kids. And God in the Abrahamic religion, at the beginning of it says, my religion is about stopping killing children.
There you go. There you have it.
Rabbi
Shmuley himself couldn't have said it better.
I have to say, there are people who murder children, and they don't get special powers. They often go to jail. And if they had special powers, they probably would get out of going to jail. So that seems like a counterexample to...
Well, that is the contention, though, with adrenochrome and QAnon.
What is that?
But maybe they learned how to do...
They get power, right?
But what about the people who've been arrested?
They didn't do it.
Well, maybe
they fucked it up.
I don't know.
Maybe they didn't get superpowers.
You make an excellent point.
They didn't get superpowers, but maybe all these people in prison learned how to do a cold fusion reactor, and that's why we don't have one yet, because they're all in prison.
Right. This makes sense. It
I
just
do
makes
love
too much
Alex's
sense.
characterization of God, like the idea that God is like, okay, well, these guys are, these people are sacrificing their kids. Whew, that's terrible. And then looks back. Well, now it's gotten out of hand. I gotta do something about it. Like that. Like God wasn't like he was moderate. Hey, listen, a little bit is fine. That's just part of the game, you know.
And my solution is to see and tell you to do it to see if you will.
Yeah. I'm gonna trick. I'm gonna fuck with this guy's head for a little bit.
Yeah.
To the last second.
It does feel like he was turning and looking at a guy like, check what I'm gonna get this guy to do. You won't believe this shit. Seriously, they'll do fucking anything I say.
Not a nice story. Kind of makes God seem like a massive dick.
It's upsetting.
Also, like, there are a good number of Bible passages where God orders his followers to murder children. Like, there are several. In Ezekiel, in 1 Samuel, there's one where God tells his followers to kill their own children. So, quote, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father, or the voice of his mother, and that, when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him unto the elders of his city, and unto the gate of his place, and they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey our voice, he is a glutton and a drunkard. Looking at you, Alex. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die, so shalt thou put evil away from among you. That's Deuteronomy.
Talk about population control.
Yeah, right.
Murder your kids if they don't listen to you. That's
Well, they're stubborn.
They're stubborn and rebellious.
What are you gonna do?
Well, Alex's contention is also
I
that,
think
like,
women should be allowed to vote. Stone him!
Yeah.
Stone him!
There's a Life of Brian joke in there somewhere. I haven't got it, but yeah, all of this is like I don't. This is going to be obvious, but I don't feel like Alex read the book. I don't feel like he did the reading, and I
that'd
will
be inconvenient for him.
Yeah,
I feel.
yeah, it's a lot of work. And Russell does at least read the Bible, and I know he does because he does Bible readings on his Locals channel with supporters. That's always.
And he posts about it all the time.
That sounds creepy, sexual. Sorry,
It's weird.
Sorry
It's weird.
for all Christians, but your Bible's creepy and gross. That's I don't know what's happening whenever Russell Brand is like, "Oh, we're gonna do Bible reading." No, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Start thinking about a different religion, maybe. You know, just this guy's on board.
Wasn't he also reading the Screw Tape letters recently? Right. He's basically been taking. He's been. giving his audience the illusion of choice by saying, like, you guys tell me what to read next and we'll do it together. But it's just a content farm thing.
He's giving off a youth group leader energy.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
He's going to end up trying to blow people's minds with C.S. Lewis. Before
he's on that.
He does
on that
C.S.
tip.
Lewis readings every week. No, they've been
Yeah.
doing Mere Christianity for the last, 6 months.
What a dick.
Yeah. Yep.
What
a dick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and with
Correct.
the open shirt, it looks like he's gonna turn his chair around and rap. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, kids, let's talk about the real shit now. This is what your parents won't tell you.
Don't go on the float trip, kids.
He's gonna break out like a non-alcoholic beer.
He's
It's
drinking
not grooming,
kombucha.
it's the past.
He's drinking kombucha in this
Giving
interview.
O'Doul's. Oh,
Yes.
no.
Yes, he is giving big O'Douls.
Oh, dear.
I can't. That's so stupid.
So
Oh.
we've got we've got just one more clip here, and the interview ends pretty much the only way it was ever going to. It's time to pray.
Do we pray for our enemies, as our Lord and Savior suggests? Alex, do we pray for them?
I think we must pray for them because we don't want the energy of God's destruction of them. We hope they reprove themselves. We hope they turn around. We hope that they join us because we love them. But yeah, we don't want to hate them because that energetically ties us to them. We want to say, God, we love these people. We hope they wake up. It all makes sense once you're at this level because, again, hatred is an energetic connection. We want to give them love and hope they turn around, because if they don't, they are cut off from God and all of us forever. So absolutely, I pray for my enemies. I love them. I care about them. Even though I hate what they do, I love them because I don't want to see them cut off from God forever.
Lord Jesus Christ, at the foot of your cross, by your blood and by your wounds, we pray for our enemies, Lord. We pray for their forgiveness and we pray for redemption. We pray that we may belong to you individually and collectively and that we may become a vessel for your light. Holy Father, we know that we survive and thrive only by your grace and by your power, not by anything that we have done, but by what you do for us. In your holy name, Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Well, Alex, I pray that the next few days for you pass well and easily. I pray that we can continue to align
Are we
and
still
find
praying?
ways
Is
to
this the
be
same
of
prayer or did we
service
start a new prayer?
and that the
a new
light
one.
prevails.
Russell, thank you. I felt the Holy Spirit during that to the point I almost fell over. God bless you. And I appreciate you, Russell. And I hope I can see you again in person. I love you.
Yeah, I love you, man. I'll come to Dallas.
I mean, you can go to Dallas, but Alex lives in Austin.
Listeners,
Yeah, wow.
nothing broke.
That
I know
was
people check
deeply
their-
upsetting.
Yeah. I know people probably, how many people looked at their,
Check the
Their
podcast
app.
players. Like, what's? Yeah, Alex is the king of dead air. It's got to be said.
But that's not like a lot of the times he has dead air. He looked like he almost had a stroke or something. Like it looked like his eyes rolled back. Like whatever that Jordan. I know that you have very often suggested that Alex might have God confused with the devil.
Yes.
That
correct.
looked like someone who had a demon jump into them.
Yes.
His eyes went like that was horrifying.
I'm not allowed to listen to the words.
Stroke, demon, or drunk, or combination of all three. You know.
so, but
Stroke,
Dan, you're
Demon,
the
or Drunk is a great game. I love to play that at parties. We all just get together. We're like, I don't know, which is it going to be tonight?
Well, so Dan, you're one of the, like, you filter Alex for us. You're the one that watches Alex, and way more than any of us do, or entirely more than any of us do. And so I don't know what's necessarily out of character for his physical presentation. And what you're saying is that eye roll
that
is
felt
special?
different.
Yeah?
yeah, that hit different. Here's what I'll say. it's possible that he has moments that are kind of like that regularly, but you don't see it. And that's because the InfoWars editing team is pretty good. And so, like, he's smoking that cigarette. You wouldn't see that if this was broadcast on InfoWars.
Right.
They would cut around it, or they would put up another, like, B-roll or something. Whatever that moment was I don't even fucking know. I don't believe it was because of a prayer. I don't think it's a demon coming into him. I think it's either he's about to pass out because he's drunk, or he's putting it on a little too thick. He's laying it on a little thick of like pretending that the spirits hit him.
Which could be a drunk thing as well.
True.
Thinking that like he's acting up.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a little too much.
This is totally normal.
I'm gonna go a little bit of a different direction. I think he was just assuming that Russell Brand was going to never stop talking, and the moment that the thought of just listening to Russell Brand for the rest of his life in this exact moment hit him. His eyes just went to the back of his head, and he's like, maybe I should die.
But to me, there were two separate things that happened in that moment.
Yeah,
and the eye rolling back happened like during the prayer. And then after the prayer ended, there was Alex just being mute and not saying anything.
It was weird.
And
he wasn't looking off into a direction either.
He was glazed.
No,
Yes.
it was like
Yard
it was
stare.
it was camera straight.
it was
Down the barrel.
Wild.
Like a dog in a bad movie.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
if I were Russell, I'd be upset.
None of this went the way it was supposed to go for him, I think.
Well, I think that
dear.
Jordan, you're describing an experience I have all the time when recording this show is listening to
What if
Russell
I have to listen to Russell forever?
I could die. That
Yeah.
sounds nice right now.
Yeah,
Well,
there have been
I
moments.
could cease to be. That's an option.
Last week was a tough one. That was
Oh my god. Yeah, anecdotally, it's that
Yeah.
there. We have evidence. I feel.
Mhm.
Alex
Yeah,
is sitting there
yeah.
thinking, like, I'm not even going to be able to play this on my own show.
Mm-hmm.
True. So like, he's probably just
What a waste
horrible.
of my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out. I'm just gonna check out. And
I mean, to be
wait,
fair,
actually.
she wasn't giving her best. Like that's not. I mean, he really
it's
could've
nice.
brought a
I
better
have
game.
to be grateful to y'all for one thing. Sometimes, because I had assumed this in the past, because I know myself, but now I know for sure, without a doubt, that I am just not going to, in any torture-based scenario, I give up before the torture begins. Like, I could listen to about 30 seconds of him talk before I screamed, "Shut up!" Like, no torture.
Wasn't even that long.
No torture at all. I give up whatever information you want. That's fine. I can't handle it. I'm the easiest person to break in the world.
And for me, I don't know if it's because I listen to so much Alex that he occupies a different place of my brain, but listening to Russell sucks way more, I think.
Way
Yeah.
more.
Like there's
Yeah,
some-
just
I
word count.
completely
Word
agree.
count. I'm telling you, it's word count.
it could be I don't
I
know.
think
There's
it is
something
a
about him.
different, like, I've been thinking about that as well, because I do remember when I first started listening to your show, I would struggle with the Alex clips a little bit. Like, it really sucked to have to listen to Alex, especially as, like, and the, you know, his mode of speaking and the affectations and everything else are not something I get over here. So it's very much alien to me. But then I got used to it. So yeah, I think,
Now,
yeah, there's something to be said for getting used to torture.
how I feel about it, and I'm more the true crime head of the two of our hosting duo, and I think that there is a very, like, Russell is coming from such a different place than Alex is, and I've been wanting to find out how these two energies would interact for a long time. I'm very interested because I want to see how different they are in comparison, not just the effects of aging, but also their energy. And so Russell is way more of that, like, kind of hypnotic cult guru speak, because that's where he comes from. That's like
Yeah.
his background. Whereas, you know, Alex is like, is fire and brimstone, you know, like revival preacher, which is a totally different vibe from the Gish the guru Gish Gallop versus like the Gish the guy is very American evangelical, whereas Russell absolutely benefits from, oh, I'm a goober, oh, I'm a spiritual being, I can't be bothered to button my top. That's like, he comes from a much squishier kind of spiritualism appropriative place.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's there is something I try, especially in like our kind of off-brand episodes, I try to talk about like the intersection of like cult behavior and cult leader behavior with Russell, because it doesn't really apply, I feel, in the same way to Alex. And I think this comparison is very stark and interesting to me in that way, that it doesn't sound like there's a cadence, especially like the 70s guys, like cult leaders, they could just, it becomes wah, 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 wah. Like Jordan, you were describing it. And also every single clip, I was like, I know when it stops sounding like words. I wonder when it stops sounding like words to Jordan. It's like, I'm feeling very seen today. Frankly, I love it. But you know what I mean? Like they're rooted in very different evangelical, if this makes sense, not just Christian, but just the evangelism part. They come from very different schools.
Yeah. I think there's something to that. And I think that the kind of character that Alex has, the school that he comes from, is like far closer to a performer. And there's more of it. It belongs on a stage, whereas Russell's belongs like tricking you into doing something. You know?
Yeah, in a very hot room, and everybody's wearing like all white and like seated on the floor. You
expect like Russell to show up when you've been broken down and like the cult is ready to take you in, whereas Alex is like, maybe on day one you show up and he's screaming on a stage.
Which I think that's just different strokes for different folks at the end of the day. I just think there's something so much, like I feel like Russell can meet the moment in a way that Alex can't. And I mean that in the worst possible way.
I feel like Russell Brand is trying to sell me a timeshare.
Yeah. But it's the timeshare from the Righteous Gemstones. It's Zion's Landing. It's like it's this kind of vaguely spiritual. You don't have to be Christian if you don't read the fine print. Oh, like once we get to Bali, the rules will change. But to get you to Bali, it's like, no, it's accepting and loving, and everybody's, you know, in a wavelength, and we're connecting our spirits, blah, blah, blee, blue, where.
Yeah, that's the Bali of it really kind of, I think, is where there's a bit of a dividing line. Because like Alex doesn't exist and doesn't work if there's no fight with the globalists. So like it's always going to be the globalists are in charge unless Trump is in charge, or it would have been the same if Ron Paul had won. And then the globalists, deep state within the government, are all sabotaging them. And that's going to be it forever. That's going to be the way that things work out, because that's the only context he works in. I think Russell Brand works in a fake utopia, and Alex doesn't.
Yeah, that sounds
And
about
that's a
right.
pitch.
I can't imagine like an Alex Jones cult in the same kind of way. Like I can imagine an Alex Jones compound, but I can't imagine an Alex Jones cult.
It'd be short-lived.
Yeah. So with
And
the compound.
I mean, Alex hates his fans. And that's the thing, is Russell also hates his fans, but like they'll still pay to get roasted in a guided meditation. Like they want that little bit of roast because that's actually entertaining, right? Like, because the Gish Gallop is, and I'm saying Gish Gallop, and I don't necessarily think that's exactly what he's doing. It's that kind of that cult programming language. Oh my God, we talked about it.
British fast talking.
Well, yeah. So no, Al, we talked about this. I said Alex. I'm sorry. There's too many AL words today. I did not mean that. So, so neurolinguistic programming. Oh my God, that's what I was looking for. Right? It's that kind of like the cadence matters way more than the words.
Yeah,
and
the delivery.
Yeah, and that's almost like the main point. Not even putting.
Yeah,
like,
I was working with Eddie Brill one week at Zany's.
I believe that's Eddie Krill Oil.
I was gonna say.
Ooh, Eddie Brill oil.
Selling Brill oil.
That's my new character. I'm gonna take that on the road.
Eddie Brill.
And it was just so much like we were the middle act was his kid. Was his son, his long lost son, who he's reconnecting with through comedy. Amazing story. Fantastic,
wow. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we're both sitting there just watching him. He's killing for an hour. And we're both just like, I have not heard him say one funny thing at all. But the rhythm, the professional, he's been doing it for 30 years. He's one of those old guys. The way he stands on the stage is just different. It's just, this is how he is, and people just respond to that.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie Pepitone, I think, mentioned already, but like we've seen him a number of times here when he's come through town, and he just has this kind of aura about him, and he can ride the wave. It's riding the wave of energy and knowing how to navigate it, which these people also do not do.
Well, but Russell comes from that world of stand-up and stuff, whereas Alex doesn't.
Yeah, Jordan,
Alex comes from
you've experienced some of that stand-up already.
A Patriot tradition.
Screaming at, not riding with at all. Alex being a screaming at, whereas
I think
Russell's
we've
riding
assessed
the wave.
these two individuals do not gel particularly well in their styles.
They both seemed very unhappy to be in the position they were in. Yeah.
Alex
I
almost
want your
died.
audience. I want your audience, but I don't want to have to deal with you. Like, can we skip the middle bit? Oh dear.
I've just got one thing to say, and that is Seven.
All right, Dan and Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun for us. I imagine it's been like being a mild amount of torture for you, but thank you for being here anyway.
I find it interesting to hear weirdos that are different, especially sitting next to Alex. So no, not too much torture.
Yeah. Good. And where can people find your show?
Infowars.com.
Soon. Very soon.
Knowledgefight.com. Sorry. All right.
Very soon. We're gonna get it. Also, you guys.
I do think that actually should be. I do think that will. I think that'll happen. I think that's one that will happen. I think Infowars.com will redirect to KnowledgeFight.com one day. I believe that. I believe it.
I don't.
In my heart.
I like your idealism. Your optimism.
In my heart of hearts, I believe one day.
Well, thank you so much.
You deserve that. You deserve the desk as well.
You've been super generous with your time.
Yeah.
And kindness.
Super grateful. Also, you guys,
it a ton.
you guys have kind of become like the one piece of podcasts. What with you approaching like 1,000 episodes to listen to. So, where should people start listening to your show if they don't know it already?
I don't know.
Don't. It's too late.
That was. I knew it.
I have no idea.
Reason. There's no reason to start now.
Yeah. On our website, I think the recommended episode it has been for a long time was the one where a guy has a secret about Ronald Reagan, and I think that might be
definitely that one.
I don't know.
Oh, right. Yeah, I
think it's
remember
been
that.
updated. I think a lot of people say that the formulaic objections, weirdly enough, are like if you enjoy listening to us make fun of a deposition, you're in.
The Roger Stone formulaic objections. Is a revisit for us whenever we go on road trip.
Okay, that could be the litmus test then. Yeah, if you listen to a deposition episode, you might enjoy the show
because it's inexplicable.
Very
Nobody
shady.
should enjoy a
It's
deposition.
very shady.
Yeah,
so
it's very
shady.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you. And that's our show. If you want to support us in what we do, head to patreon.com/onbrand. We would love to have you over there. And if you want to get in touch, drop us a line. Drop us an email. It's theonbrandpod@gmail.com. We'll get back to you at some point. Facebook group, it's On Brand Awakening Wonders. If you'd like to, go on there and see some like-minded individuals. And if you prefer more anonymous browsing, browsing. There is a subreddit, onbrand_pod, and there are some lovely human beings over there too. On socials, we're the onbrand pod everywhere except for where we're not. Look for the logo that is visible somewhere behind our heads. And personal socials, I'm at @ElworthOfficial, and Lauren is at made.by.lauren.b. And also, if you click the link in the description, there are some cool magnets with our logo and real life gold, upside down gold.
We sell gold. We sell
actual gold, rather than just a promise of gold that we secretly, genuinely, honestly, we have it somewhere. It's gold. No, we have actual gold, Leaf, that we will send to you. So yeah,
to your door,
to your door, or anywhere you want it sent, really. So yeah. Thank you very much for listening. Patrons, we will see you Sunday. We're going to be getting into some more election stuff. We're going to, I think, look at the debate between Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak just prior to the election happening over here on Independence Day, 4th of July. But for the rest of you, we'll see you Thursday next week for the main show. So
yeah.
Thank you. Take care of yourselves.
I feel
and each other.
guilty for how much I'm enjoying. I've been able to recreationally partake in the UK election cycle.
Yeah, you've had some honorary British citizenship. The last 4 or 5 weeks.
It's been a hoot. I'm really looking forward to this
fucking
thing.
dumpster
I'm looking
fire.
forward to the episode.
Yeah, it'll be
this coming off brand. I'm really looking forward to it.
It'll be fun.
And I'm sorry.
It'll be fun.
It's not a nice thing about my character.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm excited about it.
November is coming, and I'll get to enjoy that. So
yeah,
so it's fair. All right. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you very much. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
That's not win-win-win. That's lie. That's propaganda.